What's up, guys? I see we got a viewer in. Bear with me. I'm getting Uncle Carlito on here from Chicago. He's going to be a guest this morning. Got some things going on. Gotta get squared away. We're late today because I've been having some health issues. We're getting that all squared away. We'll talk more about that. Let's see here. Okay, there we are. All right, guys. So, odd morning this morning so far. Was at the hospital. Past couple days have been hospital trips and tests and everything like that. Got a pretty good gouge in my head, passed out and bumped my head on my machine. Getting some answers finally. Trying to get answers, I should say. We try our best to do what we can do, and go from there. But yeah. What's up, Mike? Good morning. So Uncle Carlito's supposed to be coming on, and I'll let him. There we go. Okay, there he is. Let's add him to the stream. What's up, fathead?
What's up there, Baldy?
How are you doing from the Windy City?
No, we're doing all right. We are just trying to deal with our first of our winter weather that was supposed to be here ever so long ago.
Yep.
And now we're just now starting to deal with it.
Right on.
Yeah. Let me see what we can do with this.
I'm kind of out of sorts this morning. I was just telling the people about what all was kind of going on.
Okay, yeah, what we were talking about just a little few minutes ago?
Yeah, and I figured this will be a great setup for you to kind of lead me in the direction you want to go for.
Sounds good. Yeah, there's some things I was wanting to talk about. We can talk about like the year of 2020, just how big of a shitstorm what it is, and what
hold on 1 second. We've actually got we got a caller here.
Oh, we got a caller in. Caller, what's on your mind?
Hey, caller, what's on your mind? You're on Coffee and Cuts in the Morning. We got Daniel. Daniel, what is your business name, or don't you really have one? What is it? DNA customized furniture.
Nice.
So do you have a question for Coffee and Cuts?
I was trying to get a hold with somebody for CNC for newbies. I'm going to send them some money.
Oh, you want to send them some money? You hear that, CNC for newbies? I'll get you in contact with them. Let me wrap this up, and we'll go from there. All right.
I think everybody likes money.
Right on. Thank you very much, Daniel, and I'll talk to you later. All right. So that was Daniel from DNA Custom Furniture. That was kind of funny. As you guys can see, in the background I help a lot of people do a lot of different things with CNC machines, and one of which is actually helping provide customer service to CNC companies.
Hold on. As soon as I get this camera right, we'll be cooking.
What are you doing?
Trying to get my. You know what? I probably should have had this stuff set up. I wanted you to get me on. I wanted the camera to shoot me on my skinny side.
Oh, okay.
So I moved it over there, and I probably should have just done this beforehand. But this is kind of like I like that parental advisory, explicit content.
You like that?
I like that.
I got a private message. I actually added that after getting a private message. Somebody sent me a message. You should warn people about the swearing in your video.
That's right. That's probably right.
So I put the parental advisory.
Yeah, right over my face. That's where it needs to be, right over my face, because they just kind of just pop out.
Are you saying you got a face for radio?
Oh, I always said I had a face for radio. I might have had a voice for Broadway, but definitely a face for radio.
There you go.
Yeah, I always said that if it wasn't for my personality, I'd always be single. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't grab my coffee for Coffee and Cuts.
I'm just having some tea right now.
Yeah, but it makes no sense to do Coffee and Cuts without coffee.
Right.
But I've been running
across the street for Duncan.
Yeah, I've been running so much this morning already, like trying to get stuff, get out of there, get the test done and everything like that.
Yeah, that's kind of scary, man. It's kind of scary. But I'm glad that they're coming out with at least some kind of making some progress and telling you something. That's the worst thing.
Yeah. It's been a roller coaster ride. Who would have thunk?
Right. This year has been crazy, huh?
Yeah. So
you'll have to forgive me. I'm going to be receiving text messages from my sweetheart, so I'll be answering them throughout the broadcast.
Okay. So, what you actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'll be a guest on." What do you? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to do?
Well, why don't we do this, since this is New Year's Eve, and it's. Do I got time to smoke one more before we go live?
We are live. We
are live. Oh shit. Okay, so, why don't we do a recap about 2020? We'll start from back in. Just kind of going to go through this whole thing, and let's talk about that. And where we are right now. All the plans that we had that kind of got scrapped.
Yep.
But let's talk about what we can look at. What can we expect?
Okay.
Into 21. Let's also talk, if we've got some time, into for guys that are taking images off and just learning how to do the software. They're not doing their own designing, right? But for free, we'll talk about a little bit of free use.
Okay.
And how that can probably get you into a little bit of trouble. Maybe not so much on the legal end, but definitely with the some of the groups that are there that where you get your designs, where we get that.
Okay.
How do we understand fair use? Because let's just put it out there. We're not lawyers, and let's especially for the newer people who may not know. For those that know but just don't care.
I can only talk on my experiences with that.
Yeah.
Like Carlito said, we're not lawyers. This is going to be very superficial, and we'll talk about how we perceive the fair use and what we're doing and how we do it and kind of what we abide by.
Yeah.
So I guess let's do the 2020 recap first for us. Let's back up to 2019, the end of 2019. We were a firehouse, just
right.
I was on fire.
Was the year that was happening.
Yeah, I was pushing 100 hours a week, 140 hours a week. I was sleeping very little, and I had to because I had so much business going on.
Now you were still sorry, forgive me, guys. I'm jumping in and out. I'm just trying to get set up here. Now you were still in the big building, weren't you?
Yeah, at that time I was.
Did you make that decision to go ahead and start scaling down, or had that not happened yet?
That hadn't happened yet. So that's why I wanted to back up to 2019. So
go with that.
Go for it.
All right.
Go for it. If you smoke whatever you got, we're an equal opportunity offender.
We are the outlaws of podcasting on the thing here. So
Exactly.
yeah, so we got that.
So the big thing in 2019 was I made enough to pay off all business debt.
Okay.
Any credit cards that I took out, any like HELOC or anything like that I borrowed against, anything.
Yeah.
I paid it all off. We were completely liquid. I owned everything.
Gotcha.
2020 came in very handy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
This was the year. If you were having to downscale, this would have been the year to be downscaling. And unfortunately, nobody wants to downscale. We always want to keep growing and upscaling, but sometimes I like to call it a strategic retreat.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. So
yeah,
at that time, most people don't realize this. I was in a 54,000 square foot building.
Which we drove by, which we got a chance to go drive by and see.
Yeah.
When I was in PA. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, I'd say thank you to Chris and his family for hosting me over the Thanksgiving weekend, and I had a great time. And like I said, it's just good people all around. Thank you for opening your hearts and your home.
Absolutely. It was a blast having you and getting to show you. And we introduced him to Middlesworth chips.
Oh yeah. I had to I definitely have to put a new order in to get that little care package delivered across town,
right?
Or across the country.
So, my hobby shop was 5,000 square feet of just fun.
Yeah,
like all my machines, all my hobby machines were right there. I was able to play around and just basically hop from one machine to the other in an organized fashion.
Right.
With everything being there in one room and the small powder coating being there. Like I could powder coat, I could run the router, I could run the plasma, all of that all at the same time.
Yeah.
And go from there. So now January comes.
Okay. We're starting to hear inklings of what's going on. Now, I'm not sure about you. I'm not a big news watcher.
Right.
It's like, again, without getting too political with it, it's like, I find that it's like certain things are like doom and gloom, everything's are like glossed over. So I'm not really sure about what's going on, as far as the media is concerned.
Right.
But we did start to hear inklings on stuff that was happening, overseas. There were, people coming down sick. There were shutdowns in China about this time. It was just starting to reach Europe about this time, right?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about this. I actually didn't find out about coronavirus until end of February.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of where it was starting.
Right.
I think the only reason why the way I kind of heard about it was I listened to radio at work. So I have a radio in the background. So, a little bit of talk radio, a little bit of that. And that's kind of where I was getting the notice the news coming in a little bit. Okay. Other than that, I wasn't really watching too much mainstream media, but at the time we weren't really worried about it. But
right
at that time, we had some colleagues come over from China and Germany, and for the end of the year
on this topic, I'm going to pour my coffee.
Yeah, we had this. We had colleagues coming in from overseas to do our annual inventory, and most of the office got sick. We didn't know what we had. All we knew was we had some kind of like real heavy flu. Luckily for us, nobody had to be hospitalized, but there was about 3 or 4 of us that got sick, one after the other. And so dealing with that coming into the new year was like, okay, we got this, your yearly flu that you get out of the way. And then now we're starting to feel a little bit better going into, February. And that's kind of where we started hearing more and more news coming over that this could possibly affect us. Again, at that time, nobody was talking about really coronavirus, and the doctors had just said, "Hey, you just got a really bad bug, you had a really bad virus." They didn't know what was going on, but luckily for me, and knock on wood, it was just a couple of weeks, out of work and then back in. So that's kind of where we were at going into February. And then going into March is when they started talking about everything, about the shutdowns and everything possible. And it was just possibility. And at that time, I'm thinking everybody was really looking at this was going to be 2 weeks, and then over 6 weeks tops.
Right. So
nobody had any idea.
Back in January for me, I actually started planning my year.
Okay.
For expansion.
Yeah, I think we were all talking about that. We were talking about, trying to also we were trying to close up the impact engraver project.
Yes.
All right. So we were looking at that.
And then, so end of January, I'm in the shop.
Yeah.
And I get lightheaded and I go down. Okay.
That was the first, and exactly. That was the first time that we were kind of hearing that you were not doing too good at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. And, everybody attributed it to overworking and
too many energy drinks.
Too many energy.
Yeah.
Too much. It's not, but we called it liquid cocaine. It's
liquid exactly. That was the joke, that it was liquid cocaine, but it wasn't really liquid cocaine.
So my mix was 5 times a day. I would have a tall boy orange Aiden tea monster.
Oh, I love those. I love the peach tea ones.
With a 5-hour energy orange poured into it.
Yeah,
and then with a scoop of orange pre-workout put into that, and I'd have 5 of those a day.
Oh shit!
So at that point, big concern.
Yeah,
and I start.
Yeah, it was.
Back.
Yeah, it was kind of like a punch in the gut for those of us that know you too, because we're used to seeing you, big, strong, get in there and get it going. Again, working these crazy hours, and to see you floored like that was a little bit of a shakeup, especially for us working together. Yeah,
right. So now we move forward to. It was a blip on the screen.
Yeah, we didn't know what was going on.
Go to the doctors. I'm all good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start cleaning myself up.
Yeah,
and stop using the energy drinks, start working normal hours and everything. So I'm gearing up for show season.
Yeah. So and then again, we were all kind of gearing up. Even here in Chicago, we were, the Pied Piper and I, we were looking at going to some shows, and doing it ourselves, and we weren't really sure what was going on. Let's see, Copperhead Mike. So he's finalizing his workers in the nursing home, and shop wasn't even a thought in the building. Wow. Here we go. And I think by that time, my company decided. Good morning, Dre. We decided that they wanted to do 2 weeks off.
Okay.
They said, okay, we'll go home for 2 weeks. We're going to pay you. No big deal. So during that 2 weeks, I was messing around, and again, I remember keeping track of a lot of the stuff in the past, bird flu, swine flu, all this stuff that was going on across the globe, 10, 15 years ago. And one thing that always popped up was, okay, this whole thing with masks. People are going to start wearing masks, this and that. That was kind of in the back of my mind. And unfortunately, at that time, there was a run on toilet paper, hand sanitizer, cleaning materials in general, and people actually started buying the few masks and gloves that were on the shelves. And so I'm sitting here one day, and I'm kind of just looking through my favorite go-to place. This is what kind of dovetail into our other topic of the day for like fair use and stuff. I was on Thingiverse, and I saw a guy come up with a design from about 4 or 5 years ago. Of course, he reloaded it up, slapped on the COVID label, but basically it was just the the hard plastic, almost like the survival gear that they give the Army. It was just a little face mask that comes on there that I ran across on Thingiverse, and I decided, hey, I'm going to print one up just to see if I can, because
Right.
I had been 3D printing about 6 months, and so I just decided to go ahead and print one. It turned out really, really nice. I even posted the picture on in one of the groups, and I said, hey, what do you do when you can't find a mask? I said, if you're me, you make your own.
Right.
And I actually went down and I bought, I printed them. I printed the mask, and I went down and I bought this R10 filter material that are used for AC units. And I got the one that had the mesh that was small enough that they claimed, according to their documents, that it's good for viruses and bacteria and stuff that are meant to go into the your home unit AC units. And
Right.
I just cut down that material and used that as my filter material. And it was part joke, kind of just part proof of concept. Let's just see what I can do with it. And
Right.
I posted it up, and I had this huge reaction. This was the crazy thing. I had about 50 to 60%. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's this and that. And then I had the other 40% would just say, you're doing something absolutely wrong. You're doing something dangerous. This material is not rated for this and for that. Now, mind you, I was using PLA at the time. I strictly print in PLA, and they were just telling me over and over again, certain people, that using this material for a mask was dangerous because you couldn't. Because at that time, let's take a look at it. Let's be honest. Our PPE was meant to be disposable. You wore it for 5-10 minutes, and you had to throw it away. That's where the industry of PPE in the U.S. was at. I've been wearing PPE for 20 years now in various sectors. Either it comes in from working in the labs, working and around high volume materials and this and that. But let's put it let's be reasonable. It was all meant to be disposable, and our logistics lines from China, where we bought all of this stuff, were completely cut.
Right.
Nothing was coming out of China, which meant since when they shut down in November, December, our logistics line's about 3 months behind that. By the time that we hit in March, there was nothing to be had.
Right.
That's just the kind of facts of global logistics. It's unless you're flying it over on a charter plane or getting air freight, it's a slow boat from China. Basically, like we always say.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're semi-printing masks, and I'm watching this, and you're like,
yeah.
Oh, I made this cool little thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. We started doing this. We started doing some creative things with some like Star Wars with the Vader covers on the front. It was just something. What's up, Jerome, the old man? Yeah, exactly, old man. Yeah, and then Copperhead Mike says, yeah, everything was usable and thrown away. Yeah, you washed it up, you used it up and threw it away. And so I got with some guys that were in the industries, some guys that a lot of people don't know. They use like a lot of PLA in plastic bottles manufacturing, right? That's the reason why that we can take plastic soda bottles or whatever and grind them up and then retest them as 3D printing filaments.
Right.
Now the technology hasn't gotten to the way where we can just stack out a bunch in the back, a bunch of bottles in the back, and we'll be okay. But it is getting there to where that, hey, we're able to use these materials that were cast in one industry and potentially use them in something other. So I knew that the material that we were using was food safe.
Right.
The biggest thing was to kind come up with an SOP in order to clean it. So we came up with, hey, just soap and water, let it air dry. If you're really concerned about something like that, hit it with a swab of isopropyl alcohol, let it air dry. That was our thing. And then it started picking up some momentum. And then we started talking to different people all around the country. And I think within 6 weeks, we were providing masks, the ear saver headbands, face shields, all this different PPE. I know here in Chicago, we were doing it at free of cost.
Yep.
If anybody, and our thing was, if anybody had contacted us and wanted masks, we would give them free of charge in their hand. And if they, if they asked us, hey, how much for it? We would say, look, if you want to donate something just to keep the cause going, and you can help somebody else out, that's what we did. So we raised we were able to raise a lot of money that we put straight back into what we were doing, and we were able to pass out over, I want to say close to 1,000 pieces of PPE in 6 weeks.
Wow.
With here between you, guys down in Texas, the Ghostbuster boys here in Chicago, those guys kicked in with tons and tons of masks.
Yeah.
We were able, and so the donations allowed us to go down, buy in bulk, and locally when we could find it locally, but also approach the 3D printing companies and say, hey, this is what we're doing. If you would like to help us out, we're willing to buy your material if you can give it to us in bulk. Because at that time, it was all about what we could get.
Right.
And there was a couple of weeks there where we were like, holy shit, man, we were running down to the wire. Where are we going to get more things? And I have to say thank you to you, Sue, Sunlu, those guys out there, the Sunlu guy, Rocky over at Sunlu, who offered us the opportunity to buy some of his machines.
Yep.
At cost. We were getting a $500 machine for $130, $160, which allowed us to expand our farms. And once we got our farms up to, what do we have, like 25 printers? That's when we were really able to help out everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, that made a big difference.
Yeah. So I was popping up myself 100 masks every day and a half. Well,
we got to back up a little bit. We're now up into like March, April.
Yeah, we're now up March, April. Yeah, it's kind of where we're at.
But back in February,
okay.
Remember Victoria, Kim had approached me and was like, "Hey, Victoria's family is going to Disney World, and they invited us as a family to go."
Okay.
And we had just paid everything off, so the bank account was pretty much drained. And I didn't want Victoria to miss out on the opportunity.
Yeah.
So I said, you take her. I'll stay here. You take her. She gets the experience. One of us is there to share it with her.
Yeah.
Everything works out. I was really bummed about it because I wanted to be there with my daughter and my wife, but sacrifices had to be made. So February, they're getting ready to leave.
Okay.
It is an hour before they're leaving for the airport.
Okay.
I stand up. I turn to Victoria, and I remember coming to with medics around me.
Holy shit. So that was like the first of the major ones.
That was the major one. Victoria said, I looked at her, my eyes rolled in the back of my head. I was out. Smacked my head, smacked the back of my head on the floor. Out cold, done.
Yeah.
Go to the hospital. So I see my daughter and wife off. Now they have no idea what's going on.
So you're in the hospital and they're on a plane to
Disney World.
All right.
And And the whole time, Kim's just like, I'm gonna be in the air. I'm not, and I'm like, go, just go. So
right. The cutting doesn't start until you touch down in Florida.
right. So my mom comes over, takes me to the hospital. They run tests. Heart attack enzyme comes back negative. Nothing major popping. So, okay, it's a blip on the screen. You know, I led a hard life. I've done a lot of really questionable things.
Let's just say that when you get to be this age, sometimes you look back around and you say, "Man, how did I make that?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Wow!"
I tell people,
I can't believe I'm still alive.
Hollywood couldn't write my life story,
right?
So, in any event, that starts the chain reaction for what my 2020 is going to be.
Yeah, that's kind of set the tone.
You know, and it was February. I did the Horse Expo at the Giant Center in Harrisburg.
All right.
And I had a great show. And I was like, this is going to be my show. This is going to be my year. Right? Kimberly wants to know why you're not at our house.
So blame it on the Piper. I told the Piper that we have to be there. So we're either going to we were supposed to either drive or we were going to fly, and I still haven't heard. I think something's going on over at his job. So yeah, this is the next best thing.
But so that set the tone for what I was expecting, and then the kick in the balls came after the fact when I had my major first pass out. And it was shortly after that. That's when the shop downsizing.
Yeah. So you were doing, exactly. You were doing all this while dealing with these health medical issues. You were actually downsizing a huge shop. Yeah, trying to bring everything back and get set up and get up and running so that
we haven't gotten to the downsize yet. At this point, a medical issue popped up, and now to make the money to pay for the shop, I don't know how I'm going to do it. Right? Because I'm working 100, 140 hours a week. I gotta be able to do that.
Yeah,
I gotta pump out product.
And you've got now you've got the thing where you have to pace yourself.
Right. So now that comes about. Then the month after that, we start hearing about the virus and everything closing down.
Yeah.
And I start getting abundant emails from craft shows, festivals.
Yeah.
Hey, March, we're going to be closed down, so we're canceling this show and that show.
Yeah, but again, the tone of those, correct me if I'm wrong, the tone of those are only going to be, okay, we're only expecting a few weeks here to get through this. We should be up mid-April, early May.
Right.
Okay, that's what we're hearing. Right. Okay.
So March shows are canceled. At this point, I go into free fall, medical issue, no shows.
Yeah.
Virus hitting.
And if you can be honest, you're starting to get a little worried, right?
Oh, I'm getting deathly afraid.
Yeah.
How am I going to pay my rent for my shop and everything?
Yeah.
My lease is coming up. I have a month left on my lease, and then I have to make the decision to either lease or re-up the lease or get out.
Yeah, exactly.
I get to the point where I talk to the wife and I'm like, we're dead in the water. Like at this point, that's when the downhill slide starts.
Okay.
Literally every day going to the hospital, test, passing out, go to the ER, check everything out.
Yeah.
Then I approached the landlord, and thank God Jim is an understanding man, and he was like, "Look, I understand. You go ahead. We'll call it good. You've been a good tenant. You took care of everything. I got people that want to move in. As soon as we can get you out, I can get them in. No harm, no foul."
That's good. So, because a lot of people, if you're not aware, guys, when you sign these contracts for a bigger space, commercial space like this, and if you don't fulfill the fulfillment of your contract, you could be on the hook for a lot of money, because those guys are counting on having that building, having people in there working, and it's a cascade. Right?
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's always so the tip of the day is always have a good relationship with your landlord at all costs. So that's the big thing. That's the good. Okay.
Okay. So now we're closing down the shop.
Yeah.
So that's said, that's done. The big question is, where the hell am I going to go?
Yeah.
Because Cross CNC started in 1,000 square foot shop,
and now
we are nowhere near 1,000 square foot
exactly. Shop. You passed that up long time ago,
right? So okay, start selling off machines.
Yeah.
Okay, that gives us a little liquidity to pay gas and rent trucks and buy lunches for people that are going to help us move.
Sure. Okay.
We don't know where we're moving to, because what am I going to do with all of this stuff?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, because literally at this time it becomes profitable machinery, but if it's not generating profit, it's just stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So luckily my father, A, was in a position where he could help me, and B, he was in a position where he was willing to help me.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, I got you. Go buy your shop. I'll pay for it, and we'll have it all moved in."
And that's the new shop that the Amish came in and helped build?
Right.
Okay.
Right. They actually built it offsite and had a trailer guy bring it in
modular. Yeah.
And set it up. So my dad's like, get it taken care of. Whatever you got to do to get it taken care of. I keep saying, if it wasn't for my dad, Croft CNC would not be here today. Like my parents footed the bill for the shop, and now I'm forever grateful and in debt to them.
Mm-hmm.
So in a whirlwind, like 1 week period, the Amish guys build the shop, have it brought in. Right.
I remember that.
My contractor buddies come and put it together for me. They prep the site, put it together.
Yeah.
Amish bring the trailer, put the building in, and in a whirlwind of 2 days, with like 3 pickup trucks and 2 trailers, we clear out a shop.
Man, that's
okay. If it wasn't for, well, shit, it was my mom and dad, my brother, the Lamey boys, the Lucases, the Longs. I'm trying to think here. You're
gonna have to sit down and write them down, and like you're gonna have to go through and give them like a big shout out video.
For real.
Say, hey, thank you guys.
So we now move forward and move everything into the new shop.
Yep.
Okay. We didn't bring it in and set it up.
Now it looks like, brought it in and said, okay, it is now out of the old shop and it's in the new one. Now
it's not organized.
Now what do we got to do?
And so this whole time, I'm still having my passing out issues.
Yeah.
So like we're moving stuff and I'm like the fainting goat. Like I get excited and I just fall over. Okay.
If it wasn't something serious, we'd be saying, look at the narcoleptic goat over there.
Yeah. Just he's talking, he's out.
He's like, hey, Chris, what do you think about this? Well, boom.
Yep. So now on top of the stress of liquidating and moving the big shop to home.
Yeah.
I have my medical issue.
Okay.
Coronavirus is in like full swing at this point.
Yeah, it's kicking the shit out of the U.S. It is kicking the shit out of the
U.S.
Yeah, and our local leaders are going crazy because they have no idea.
Right.
We've gotten, like I said, without getting too political in it, you've got all these conflicting information coming from one source to the other source. How do you really kind of get down to it? You've got people coming down into two camps that say, okay, lock everybody down or not, so that we can get to herd immunity.
Right.
We heard. We'll have to go through the top phrases that we do not want to hear again, that we've heard all through 2020, and the phrases that we do not want to hear the next year because they drive me batshit crazy. We're hearing phrases like flatten the curve.
Right. So at this time,
yeah.
But at this time, the mask project is in full swing.
We are definitely in full swing. This is now we are able to provide anybody who wants one that for at least the basic protection, we've got it.
Right. So you come, if you can donate to the cause, but everybody gets a mask.
Everybody who wants one gets one. Exactly. And I think we bought out Amazon's supply of shoelaces 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
We bought filament by the case. We were buying filament by the 2 case loads, and we were handing them out to everybody. We were sending some to you.
Yeah.
We were when the guys would drop off their masks, we'd throw a couple of extra, depending on how many machines they have. We'd throw some filament their way.
So now let's put it in perspective. At this point, the shop is at home and in no way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And you need something to keep you busy and focused.
Right. Because I'm having my medical issue.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking my business is done. Like I just shut down a huge shop. Nobody's going to want to buy from me. Nobody's going to want to deal with me and everything like that. So now I'm getting that depressed state.
Yeah.
But
that's one thing we can talk about too a little bit later about, motivation, depression, and all. It all kind of feeds in itself. And how do you want to deal with that? Yeah.
Right. So now you guys are like trying to teach me how to 3D print in the background all this time. Like I had just cut my teeth 3D printing.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you're like, hey, we're getting you a print farm set up, and
we're gonna get you at least 1 machine, but we're gonna work on getting you at least 3 at least minimum 3, maybe a little bit more.
Now I had 2 3D printers that were hand-me-downs.
One that had fallen down the stairs too, right?
Yeah. So I'm sitting there working off of these and printing 1 mask at a time and on one machine, and then the other machine was actually printing the face guard.
Yeah, the little girl,
the piece 1 at a time.
Yeah.
Because it was such a small build plate.
And you use whatever tools that you have,
Right.
It's like, okay, then we started talking. It's like, okay, Chris, we're going to get you set up, but in the meantime, how do we get you to where you can fulfill your orders? So then we started filling some orders for you and sent a couple of boxes your way.
Right. So now all the shit from before is going on. Now we're adding on. We're going to teach you how to do this, and you're going to print masks on what you have. And then now that's about the time you got the consulate deal.
Yeah, I went through the consulate and they ordered 150 masks because we were, again, there was a stigma in the DIY mask thing. Okay, and again, the biggest thing that we had to break down was, okay, your N95 masks are the ones that are reserved for your surgeons and this and that. Now they tend to use them throughout the hospital because they order them in bulk and they're able to use that. But N95 was considered the gold standard for medical use.
Right.
Unfortunately, because of the supply lines being cut, you couldn't find them anywhere.
Right.
So I talked to some veterans. I talked to veterans who had used what they call the MOP gear. Right? What do they call that? Multi-operational protective gear.
Right.
And showed him what, we showed him what I had him print some stuff up too, to look at it and basically say, yeah, this would work as a basic barrier system. And that's really what we were going for. And that's all a mask is it's 85% barrier system with a 15% filtration system.
Right.
And that's what people did not understand. So a lot of hospitals, especially for their more high risk ones, they passed on us. Okay, no big deal. Not a big deal. But they did like the face shield that we do, because they were running into low on face shields. And they love the ear savers that the nurses and the doctors and everybody could wear, because now they're going from wearing masks 5-10 minutes at a time to where they're having to wear a mask all single day.
Yep.
And here in Chicago, I actually had trauma nurses contact me and tell me, well, hell, I'm using cut up pieces from my scrub legs just so I have some kind of protective material.
Right.
And I think we gave him about 12. And the hospital said, no, you can't use them.
Yep.
Part of that might have been a little bit, internal politics. It could also be just liability, because again, hospitals they're all about their liability. But I had a ton of nurses and doctors and stuff saying, you know what? I don't care what the administration says. In my area, I make the decisions, and we're going to use them until we can get some of the other ones. And at that time, you were getting a lot of counterfeit masks from China. If they weren't counterfeit, they were full of mold. They were completely useless. I think I heard a report in Chicago that they received a shipment. One of the first shipments they received from China when they bought they were useless because they were full of masks or full of mold and couldn't be used.
Right.
So they're stuck. You're in a situation where you don't have the PPE that you need.
Right. So now at that point, that's when you guys approached me and was like, hey, we're going to get you at least one machine. We're going to try and get you set up with your own print farm, and you're going to print.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to provide masks for us for this project in the East Coast area.
Yeah. And unfortunately, what happened with that first machine?
Well, we got the first machine that came in, I got it running. It was running.
Yeah, it was running. But we bought 6 of those.
Yep.
And everybody else was able to just throw a couple of screws in. Yep. Load the bottle and start going with it.
And mine was not, to say the least. Right. Whenever I got mine, the base frame for the bed was actually warped.
Yeah.
And then as we applied heat to it, it warped more and more and more.
Yeah, it was just kind of twisted on you. It had a slight twist, and and for those of you that are not aware of 3D printing, as the bed heats up, because there's a heating pad underneath that plate, there's an X bracket underneath, and that's what has the that holds the bed in position and allows you on that model to adjust using 4 screws.
Right.
With that being bent, that means you had to do a whole lot extra just to get even close.
Right.
And I think I remember at one point you said, "Okay, that's it. I'm done. This thing is being pitched out the fucking window."
Yep. I had it.
Like, and you were working in your basement, right?
Yeah.
And you were like, if I got to break through a window just to toss this fucker out, that's what's happening. You were,
yeah. I was so frustrated.
You were so frustrated, yeah.
Because I'm not a dumb guy when it comes to CNC stuff.
Yeah.
And I knew like it's something I'm doing. It's something I'm doing. It's something and then I start looking over the machine, and it wasn't something I was doing. It was the machine.
Exactly. Because there's 3 different factors. There's the human factor, the human error. There's software issues, and then there could be some machine issues. Now we like to call it chasing the gremlin.
Right.
Where the hell? What gremlin are we looking at that's causing this issue?
Yep.
And we figured out that X bracket that holds the not only facilitates the screws going in, this leveling screws, had a twist, but as it heated up, it wanted to twist more.
Right.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm pissed off. 3D printing is not for me.
Yeah.
And then you guys came through with 2 more machines.
Yep.
And I got those. I put them out of the box. And within like an hour, I'm printing.
Yeah.
And I'm printing perfect. Like no
Exactly.
wrap, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So long story short, we figure out the machine itself was a first-gen machine.
It's mechanical. It's not user error. It's not software error. Because we had a bunch of guys come in and look at our models, clean them up. We were going from a 4-hour print time for one mask down to an hour and a half per masks.
Right.
And if you could load the entire print bed, you could get 6 masks in about 8 hours.
Yep. So now everything's going on. I'm frustrated because I don't have machines running out in the shop. This new 3D printer that's so user friendly and everything, I start freaking out because I can't get that. So nothing in my life right now is going right. I'm devastated.
Yeah. So what did I tell you? I said stick with it. Stick with it, and eventually you're going to get there.
Yep. And so now we start getting everything squared away, and I don't know how many nights we spent just going through settings on the slicer for the 3D printer, settings on the 3D printer machine.
Yeah, bed positions, trying to maximize the bed space, to make sure that we're getting the best bang for our time.
Right. So now the X-Carve machine is out of storage and up in my 1-car garage getting set up.
Okay.
Down in the basement, I have an Ellix maker set up next to the 3D printers. I pull the vinyl cutter out. That's in the basement, set up next to the 3D printers. The other homemade laser is up in the 1-car garage. The mini mill now gets moved into the 1-car garage. Okay. All the while, I don't have any shelving or cabinets or anything in this garage.
So space is going fast.
Right. Everything's on the floor. You're tripping over everything. There's no covering. There's no heat. There's no AC. It's a shell. Now we start moving and grooving. We start getting stuff squared away.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, things kind of start clicking. The 3D.
Now you had to transport that plasma machine from the shop to the big one where you're at.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that had to be fun.
And we had to do it together.
Oh, all put together. You couldn't take it apart.
No, because I had everything trammed in and good to go. Now, what was funny about that was the spot where the plasma was when we started Croft CNC.
Yeah.
Was still open. Literally, the marks on the floor where I lined the machine up.
We're still there.
Nice. And we just 5 guys picked it up, one on each leg and one helping out.
Damn,
and just boom, boom, right where it was, put the levels on it, all level, good to go. Okay. And now
Kevin says good morning. Kevin Croft says good morning to us.
Oh, yeah. So that's my cousin down in South Carolina. He lives in the same town Kane lives in.
Oh, okay. Good morning to you guys. Cousins?
Yeah.
All right. I look forward to meeting them one day.
Yeah. So now X-Carve is running. Laser in the Garage is running.
J-Tech is running.
Yep. Plasma's running. 3D printers are running. Laser in the Basement is running. Vinyl cutter is running. Powder coat is up and running.
Which was very impressive. I liked it. Very simple. It was a very simple setup, but very impressive setup that works.
Yeah. Yeah. And then at that point, everything kind of starts to come together. There's talk of lifting restrictions. We're getting hopeful. Like things start matching again, and we're starting to look forward to July.
Yeah, that's kind of the same way we're here. We were getting good news. The numbers were down. They were opening up stuff.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Okay, so now we're looking up in the background of everything. You, me, and Pied Piper have the Impact Engraver project.
Yep.
I did an Impact Engraver
that you can find at Chris Croft Etsy store.
Yep, at Croft CNC's Etsy store.
Are we still running a special?
I can put it back up on special.
Okay.
And we have 10 of them in stock.
Excellent. Excellent. And we've both been able to put out some really, really cool stuff. Even though I've only been experimenting with some of the stuff, I am able to get some really, really nice results from what I'm getting.
Yes. Yeah, so the project itself was more or less a can it, first off, proof of concept, can this be made, which I made it.
Yeah.
Then I approached you guys about how can we make it inexpensive, which you came up with the 3D printing. I made the models, 3D printed them so that they fit on.
Yeah, and we tried some different filaments because we wanted some cool colors to help us stand out.
And that was a tragic fail.
Yeah, we went through a couple of different displays. We wanted to do like a bronze, silky kind of like metallic material. We were really excited about it, and unfortunately, it wasn't suitable for our applications. But that's all part of the design and the journey that you get there.
Right.
And that's one of the things that everybody should really kind of keep in mind, that from concept to finish, don't lock yourself in. Stay flexible. Reach out to people with that you trust and that have knowledge, that can kind of help out. Now, again, we had never attempted to do a 3D printed part that was going to be used on a semi-industrial machine,
Right.
that would have to withstand, vibrations and everything like that. The pushback from the chatter. It's a lot of stuff that goes on, and for those of you guys who know that in CNC, there's a lot of stuff that could go wrong, and we had to address those issues.
So I'm sitting there. This was a great motivator for me because now I have a focus.
Yeah.
I've lost out on everything up to this point. I'm finally getting my footing in 3D printing, so I don't feel like a failure there. I've got machines running. I'm doing tutorials again. I now have my computer, my design computer is set up in our dining room. Right? My wife loved that. And then now we've got this project.
Yeah.
And in this project, you're pushing like, hey, you can really sell this and make this. That was kind of your catalyst, was make it, mass produce it, get it to the people.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, let's get it to the people, and any versions that come down the line afterwards will definitely be from the input from the people that are using them.
Right. So now I take that and I do what Chris does with everything. I break it down into individual parts, analyze it, figure out how it's made.
Yeah.
And I actually devised from point A to Z of the production process.
You did. You absolutely did.
Like, we order in raw material, we make it, we 3D print the frames.
You laser cut you plasma cut the spring arms.
Yep.
Yeah, you're doing that. The only thing that we bought or off the shelf were the pens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pens and couplers.
Yeah, and the coupler and the pneumatic couplers. Everything else we made in shop.
In-house at Croft CNC, including the recycled egg crates that we placed the impact engraver in.
Yeah, we did our own packaging.
We actually printed the molds.
The molds for the packaging and to hold it nice and steady inside the pack. But we also did our own boxes.
Right. So that's what I was getting to. That was the funny part though. Yeah. We did our own boxes, and that kind of amazed you that I was like, oh, we could cut the boxes in-house. And you're like, what? And I'm like, we've got a CNC machine.
Yeah.
So I used my tangential knife to cut the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then with all the leftover boxes, I bought a dollar store $10 blender.
Blended that all up, made a pulpy thing. We 3D printed a mold.
Right.
And we molded our own packaging, guys. And if you're not familiar with this stuff, I think the easiest way I can kind of explain it is if you've ever gotten any kind of product and you opened it up and it's this, it looks like a beverage holder. It's that type of material, but what it is that it's recycled cardboard
with Elmer's glue.
And then once it hardens up, boom, you've got yourself a nice mold. And now you don't have to worry about, we didn't have to worry about, okay, how are we going to pack our stuff without it rattling around, and UPS or the United Postal Service or God forbid FedEx comes rolling your package down the fucking roll and just throws it at your door.
Right.
Yeah.
So I now show Carlos and Pi how to make an egg crate out of a 3D printed mold.
Yeah.
And how to make
that would have been something that we would have never thought of.
Right. And how to make the boxes. Mm-hmm. And then we can now use our lasers on the CNC to laser etch our designs.
Yep.
and we can screen print because I have
screen print too. Yeah, yeah.
So
with a drag knife, you can cut those boxes down to the size that you want, that they fold back where they need to be. Boom.
Yep.
Now you've saved yourself a ton of money on custom packaging.
So that right there, we're circa June.
Circa June, yeah.
And at this point, I'm excited for this project because the project's winding down. I've accomplished everything that I want to accomplish with it.
Yeah.
Okay. At this point, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but you guys are tied into it. We are partners in the project.
Yeah. No, we were feeling pretty good. We were looking at we got the first 10 units ready, but the first 15, right?
Yeah, we did 15. We did 15 first units.
Yeah, we sent out a couple, and we sent you sent me one, and then we sent a couple to guys to kind of help us out and get us back. I'm trying to figure out where the hell I need to be on my chair, and trying to figure out what to get those guys and get that kind of little bit of stuff, get traction going.
Right.
Yeah. So we're using our network. We're using our network that we've built over the last, year or so.
Rotate your camera back a little bit. You're off to the. There you go. Right there.
There we go. So so now we started reaching out to other guys that we've worked with in the past. You sent them a couple of units. Say, hey, do me a favor, run this through its paces, and tell me what you think. Where are we going to go from the next version to come up? And
you're the only one that I've heard from for that.
Yeah. So we're waiting on that. We're still waiting. I think with everything that's been going on with everybody else that we were talking to, it's just been crazy, just trying to get it up. Yeah.
So now that project winds down, and we accomplish everything that we set out to do for the checklist. We did.
We knocked it out.
From point A to Z, we do everything. It is our product made in-house. So that product is actually being asked to be made for other applications now, which is cool. So now that's wrapping down, and I start getting emails.
Okay. All right. Who are we hearing from?
Pretty much, don't worry about the rest of your year. You ain't making any money. That's basically where we're at.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of down in the dumps.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a reoccurring theme for this year, is down in the dumps.
Yeah.
You guys are staying pretty upbeat. You and Sammy are buying machines and getting
our business was down, but Sammy made the decision to go ahead and invest heavily,
right,
and to get some proper machines. One of the things that he did was when he bought his Glowforge, now Sammy's the type of guy that will start on a project from start to finish, especially when it comes to lasering, and he'll spend 20 hours. I've seen him spend 24 hours lasering the same image over and over and over and over again until it gets to where he thinks it's perfect. And then he moves on to a different material and does the same thing.
Right.
So the time that we spent, our downtime was, okay, we would accommodate the occasional project here and there, but most of it was spent on learning the craft and refining our craft.
Right.
And so consequently, that's the reason why Sammy is one of the best photo editors in the U.S.
Yeah.
When it comes to working with woods, acrylics, glasses, and just different kinds of materials.
Yep.
He knows how to take that photo, process it, and make it work for the material that you're using. And that's the biggest thing, because you can waste a lot of time trying to figure out it works over here on this material, but not on this material.
Right. So now in the background of everything, once again, I'm still going in and out of the hospital.
Yep.
Like weekly.
Mm-hmm.
That never really changed.
Yeah.
So now we basically just keep moving forward. And now that was, we're up to October.
Given there, yeah.
Something like that. And no, it's September.
Okay.
September area. And you threw out, hey, it'd be nice to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
You're welcome anytime. Now we're into October. The masks project has been fulfilled and kind of dying down.
Yeah. Because by this time now, the regular PPE, that they can use, they're not really asking for much.
They're catching up and everything.
Yeah, maybe some face shields, maybe the occasional ear savers. But even now, I think everybody's gotten kind of used to wearing the masks.
Right.
That it doesn't bother them as much. Or if they are, you're not really hearing much about it. So
they don't bitch.
Yeah. I have been getting, I have a customer who probably once or twice a month asks for replacement parts and asks for, she had me do 4 Bane style masks. Basically, they were the regular masks with the Bane snap-on.
Right.
Because they were going to be working at a haunted house and they wanted to have some protection. And they thought this was probably one of the cooler mask designs that would, it was kind of cool. And they did turn out. They turned out awesome.
Really did.
Yeah. Here, let me send you if I can find you a photo, you can post it.
Okay.
Let me find it real quick. But those 2 ended up getting shut down. But, let's see. Where is Daisy?
So at this time, we're now like, okay, what's the next thing? Where are we at?
Yeah.
And I start the idea of, we're going to do files, tutorials. Like, yep. I'm going all in on the idea of what I've been doing with the lives.
Okay.
And I start learning how to do videos and everything like that. I reach out to Titan over at Titans of CNC. Hey, if I put out the CNC router videos for the building blocks, would you post them? And they're yes, absolutely. Then comes the JTech sponsorship happened in 19. At the end of 19, now Endurance Lasers pops in with a sponsorship.
Yeah, over to George Foreman. Yeah.
So now I'm like sitting back going, oh, okay, so sponsorship really is a thing for makers.
Oh yeah, it's a big thing. It's a lot of things. A lot of the YouTubes and the YouTubers and the sponsorships. Those all kind of go hands in hands. It's good because you're able to open up new avenues and with people that you've never worked with before.
Right.
But it also gives these companies an opportunity to share their work and to get real feedback from people that are going to be using it.
From people that use them, exactly. So
Exactly.
now I'm thinking, Croft CNC, we build machines. Okay, we're going to build a 4x8 machine that we're going to sell to the masses.
Right?
And I start planning this out and doing this.
Okay.
In the background, I reach out to a company and I'm like, hey, if you guys ever want to work together, let's do this. And
Exactly.
that company was CNC for Newbies.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time that I'm trying to put out a 4x8 machine, they come back and say, it's funny you emailed us or messaged us, because I Facebook messaged them. We have a rack and pinion 4x8 machine that we're putting out.
That's in prototype right now, right?
Yeah, they're prototyping. And I'm like, oh, okay, right on. So now I'm like, where do I go with stuff? If they're doing this, I can't compete with them. And they come back a week and a half later after having their meeting and are like, we're going to send you a 4x8 machine.
Yeah.
And we want you to do videos with it and stuff. And I'm like, okay. So now I'm getting real excited because I've got a rack and pinion machine on the hook and I'm working with a company. The only problem is it's in prototype and we don't know when they're going into production.
And this is back in September?
No, well, this is October.
This is October. Okay, now. All right.
End of September, beginning of October. And I start doing what I do and I start building up a buzz. And November rolls around and they're like, we're wrapping up prototyping. They're posting pictures, they're sending me pictures, and we're jazzing this thing up. End of November.
Middle of November, they said they were shipping.
They were getting ready to, yeah.
Yeah, and we were hoping that perhaps that machine would be there when I parachuted in.
Right. So you parachute in for Thanksgiving. Behind the scenes, we're talking it up, and you're like, hey, maybe I could come out around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like, come for Thanksgiving. Bring your family, and you can enjoy Thanksgiving here with us.
Right? Thanksgiving with the Crofts.
Yeah.
The highlight of my year.
And we talked to the wife. We talked to my wife, and she's like, yeah, we'll have enough food. Let's do this.
Yeah, it was so awesome, dude. We had a great time. We did 2 or 3 episodes of Coffee and Cuts.
Yeah. I mean, we just blast. Yeah,
we had a great time. Always have a great time just chit-chatting and getting, some of the new stuff. We smelted down aluminum cans, and I got my first aluminum ingot.
Yep.
So it's still rolling around my car.
So you guys at this time, Sammy is upgrading lasers. He's got a couple.
During all this time in the background, we started out. Let's see. Well, last year, 2019, December 2019, Sammy bit the bullet and bought a Glowforge. And that was a complete game changer. It really was. At the time, we were using diode lasers, which anybody can tell you, diode lasers, once you get it dialed in, they are awesome machines. You can get great detail depending on the size of it. You can do some really, really big pieces. We use the JTech mount to do 2 full tournament style cornhole bowls, which the customer wanted a Cheech and Chong theme.
Yep.
And we also did the first large treatment of using baking soda and water on it in conjunction with a diode laser that gave us some of the best results that we've ever had.
Yeah.
And it was a very simple process, but the customer was blown away.
So now you guys also upgraded your print factory because
so then we got some of the smaller Elix makers that, again, you helped us get up and running. Then he decided in December of 19 to get went ahead and bite the bullet, and he bought a Glowforge Basic, which is a great machine. I have to say it is a really great machine. The only thing that I have a problem with is that it's you have to have an internet connection and you're using their online servers. I'm not really keen on having my machine tied up to something if they're doing kind of doing a update. You're screwed. You might be out hours, and depending on what time of year it is, that could throw you into a bit of a bind.
Right.
Because apparently it won't even let you go into the software until you update their latest update, which, in my opinion, I'm not real big on like updates when they first roll out.
Right.
Case in point with like Cura. When I first started using Cura, we were using Cura 3.2 or 3. And then it went to 4, and I think now we're up to Cura 8.
4.8.
Yeah, again, so we're talking like 8 months. They've come out with 4 different new versions of it, and I found that in the beginning of their updates, they were, it was causing problems for me. So I always kept the older version for about 3 or 4 months before upgrading.
Right.
But with the Glowforge, you didn't have that option. So there's some, and we can talk about a whole other thing with some Glowforge users and have them give you their experiences. And I think that would be a really cool show to have, to say, hey, let's show some of the pros and cons and give people an idea of what you can, a realistic expectation of what they can. At the bottom line, I have to say, it is a damn good machine. It works. It really works. They claim it's not meant for heavy industrial use, so you have to keep that in mind, and you have to keep it climate controlled. But other than a few issues that I've heard people come about, a lot of people like it. It works. It's basically the Cricut of the desktop laser, and on top of that, it's a 40-watt CO2 laser.
Right. So,
which if you're familiar with the K40, tell me what you're familiar with about the K40.
What am I familiar with about it?
Yeah.
Its software is crappy. It's
the software that comes with it is crappy.
It's a small format. Your controls it works sometimes. It has steppers, so it misses steps if you go too fast. Like, you can cut a sheet of paper. That at this time, that's what the K40 was known for. Yeah, and it was one of those machines that you could buy for $400. But you had to dump in another, I would say, $300 to $400 to get anything functional. Yeah,
and heavily modify it and switch over to the control board so that you could use Lightburn.
Right.
Which Lightburn was right now it's a really good software that's out there. Those guys have done a really good job of updating their software to make it even more user friendly.
Yes.
And looking at some of this stuff that the guys in the made with Lightburn group, those guys are pulling out some cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like anything. So we use that. We use the Glowforge for the first 6 months, and then Sammy, again, Sammy being who Sammy is, decided that he wanted to specialize in portraits. He wanted to be able to do the best portrait on the laser, and so let me post Barry. Hi, sweetie. So once he got that down, he started helping out a lot of people. And one of the cool things that Glowforge does is if you buy a Glowforge, they give you they have a referral system where you can, if people come to you and say, hey, what about this? You have the opportunity to give them their your referral code, and depending on the model that they bought, so if they bought a basic, you got $100 in credit. And you could use that in their store, or you could cash it out.
Right.
If you cashed out, there was a certain penalty going on, but if you used their in-store credit, you could it was full credit. Now, he got to where he was helping a lot of people, and they were using his codes. When they bought a pro version of this, you get $500 for the reported program.
Right.
So Sammy was one of the guys that was in there mid 20 through late 20 and helping out a lot of people, building a really solid reputation for being somebody to be good to work with, fast response time, and just good quality overall work. He was able to buy a pro version with all of his credits, which runs about $6,000, $4,000, and he ended up paying $40 for shipping. So he bought that, and he used it for about a month and a half, and said, you know what, with what I could do with this, he actually kind of spilled the beans a little bit. He liked the basic a little bit better.
Right.
The Pro comes with a pass-through slot front and back that you can do that, which we never used for that because I think the bed size is 12 by 24.
Yep.
And it was a really tight 12 inches on the Y. So he decided to sell that one and buy 2 more basics. So he was able to triple his production rate for his Glowforges.
Right.
Which was really, really smart on his part. Because he didn't need all the bells and whistles. The difference between the Pro and the regular was 5 watts of power.
Right.
All right. As any of us know, you're truly not using the full 45 watts.
Yeah.
If you're anywhere between 40, actually, let me even venture to say 35 to 45, you're going to get that 40 watt range. And I think that's what the key is. And he was able to just do a lot of cool stuff with that. Tripled his production, did that. Then he decided to buy a 60 watt Chinese laser, the big boxes that you see on AliExpress and that like that.
Right.
And he bought the rotary attachments for it. So now we've gone from 12 by 24 to 17 by 28. It also has a pass-through option. But more importantly, you get on your Z-axis, you can roll that down with your rotary attachment. Now you can do cups, you can do tumblers, you can do cylinders, you can do baseball bats, or whatever you want to do with that. It opened up a new avenue for us.
Right. That's the big thing is now we're getting into where Uncle Carlito and Pied Piper start expanding their laser farm and their print farm.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
one of the things that we did, and one of the things that we did, I couldn't make it that weekend, but Pied Piper had helped a gentleman down in Georgia. He had a bunch of problems he couldn't do with it. He had a couple of different machines. He was an older gentleman, and he decided that he wanted to downgrade. So when Sammy had come in and helped him with, doing lots, some pictures, and he didn't charge him a penny. He just helped him out. And the gentleman came back to him about 3 weeks later and says, "Hey, I've got this another 60-watt laser with that commercial chiller, with the upgraded board. If you want it, come down and get it."
Right.
So Sammy and a couple of the boys got a truck and drove their ass down there and got that machine.
Yep.
And it was just, you say, you figure that on the one thing you're thinking, oh, wow, you got this huge machine for free. Well, no, you have to go back and think about how he got it for free. He met somebody, built a relationship, helped out. It wasn't one of these things where he was looking to go in and make a ton of money off this guy, because the guy doesn't have a ton of money.
Right.
But he built a relationship with him, helped him out. And the guy's like, you know what? I'd rather have it go to somewhere where somebody's going to use it. And if you can go out, that's one of the good things about reaching out and helping people, and you build these relationships across the country. You just never know when something like that will fall into your lap.
Yeah.
And if you have the, if you have the ability, or even talking to some of the other contacts, you can make it happen and go down and you can get stuff like this.
It happens. Don't expect it to happen. Just it happens organically.
Yeah, exactly. It's nothing like that you'll be able to plan. It's nothing you'll be able to plan, because at the end of the day, it's that person out of the generosity of their heart saying, you know what? You helped me. I'm grateful for that. I have this sitting right here. Yeah, I could sell it, but you know what? Thank you. And
yep.
He was like, I know if I sell it to you, it's going to go to good use.
Right.
So and that's what it was.
So now, you guys are upgraded. I'm upgraded.
We've upgraded. Yeah. Sammy. Oh my God. I love that little Italian. Sammy is this, he went out and he went out and he decided to, because he's got a long-term plan too, to be able to do this full time. So he decided to go ahead and invest in himself right now. And he picked up a fiber laser machine, shopped around, got a really good, decent price on it. 50 watt. He bought a 24 by 36 UV printer system. If you're not familiar with that technology is really cool. You can print. It's basically based on a inkjet printer system that uses special light reactive inks with the inks that react with UV.
Right.
And you can do metal, acrylics. You can do woods. You can do it on wood. You can do it on metal. You can do it on glass. I've seen guys with a rotary attachment do tumblers with, and instead of engraving through the powder coating, you're UV printing straight on the powder coating, which could also work for stainless steel tumblers as well.
There you go.
You can lay out the bed. You can lay out phone cases. It prints on plastic. You can do, depending on your bed, you can probably do 100 phone cases, in about 30 minutes to an hour. But you've got so much more material that you can work with.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is the amount that you can work with.
Yeah. And that's what, and his idea is, I want to be able to have a machine. If somebody comes to me and says, I want to do this, he's like, I want to be able to have the machine to be able to do that.
Right. So now we're at Thanksgiving time.
Yep.
All of us are upgraded. You pop in. We have fun. You see what Croft CNC is actually all about.
Oh yeah. What came in? Watched how the work was, and even had a chance to go down and look at the show.
Yep.
Down there, which I love that place. Those people were so cool.
Dunkled Acres.
Duncle Acres, yeah. That place was awesome. Explain to them what Duncle Acres is.
What's that?
Explain to them what Duncle Acres is.
So, it is a family homestead where they took their barn. They actually have a couple barns, but they took one of their barns and retrofitted it to be a I don't want to say a wedding venue, basically a
expo hall. I would say expo hall.
Yeah,
you could use it for different stuff, banquets, this and that. It's an expo,
right? But it's very modern, rustic.
Oh, it really is. It's beautiful. You walk in there,
rustic.
And it looks like a cabin. A high-end cabin that you would rent.
Yeah.
And the decor in it is just phenomenal. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But that's not the most beautiful part about the property. It's what's going on outside.
So Carlos likes the fact that there's all right, I got to figure out it's either a creek or a crick.
Creek.
So there's a water feature that runs through their property, and they put a dam area up and created their own waterfall. So they have their own pond with waterfall.
Yeah.
And they actually utilize that water to feed their animals and stuff like that. And everything. So they
got llamas, because they got llamas and deer and goats.
Yeah. Yep.
They're really cool. You can go in, and they have a little petting zoo that you guys can go down and you can pet the llamas and stuff like that. Really, really cool. They're really cute. I don't know. I fell in love with a llama. I wanted to take one home.
So we basically go do the show. That was really our first big show of the season for Croft.
Right? Yeah, because it was what it was like. It wasn't your type of show where it was a consignment show. So explain to them. There's two different types of shows. So for the guys that want to get into shows, there's predominantly two types of shows, correct?
Right. There's personal shows where you have crafters show up and they basically put their wares out and sell to you. Then you have consignment shows where the crafters set up and then the people just kind of walk around, they take it over and pay to the venue, and then the venue pays you out. You don't have to be.
What are the pros and cons of each type of show?
Okay, so you don't, for the consignment shows, you don't have to be there.
Okay, so that's a pro. Is that a plus, or is that a pro or a con?
That's a pro.
Okay,
because if you have multiple things going on that weekend, if you have multiple shows, you're able to go do those shows.
There you go.
Do multiple shows at one time.
And that would be money that you would have never done it. You would never had it if you were tied up at the other show and had to be at the other one. Okay.
Right. So I see that as being a pro. The con is you don't have the control over what you're making.
And
you have to make a conscious effort. For you, it was probably odd that I went to a consignment show and sold myself. I sold my.
I actually thought that was a pretty good idea, because it really only cost you just a few hours of your time each day,
right?
To get in there and meet. And I think that's one of the pros of having a on-site show. It's because people buy people buy personality. They buy
Right.
stuff for personality. If they like you, they will buy from you.
Yep.
And get that personal touch, this and that, and the opportunity to actually just engage with your customers and find out they may not want something that right there what they're looking for, but in the meantime, there's probably something going out in the future that they might want.
Right.
One of the cool things that I liked about it was the outdoor venue areas that we had. And again, we had the opportunity to sit down for about 45 minutes with another, it was a son and mother group who were at the same show.
Yep.
And we got to talking to them about what we do, what we use, and they seemed very, very interested. It opened up their eyes to something to say, okay, look, that's something that we never even thought about.
Yeah, they wanted to work more with us on actually getting a machine together.
Yeah.
On how to do that.
Mm-hmm. And a small machine to be able to go ahead and just start them out to be doing the stuff that they did, because I think the stuff that they did had a lot to do with not necessarily engraving, but more like fabric cutting.
Right.
Which you've proved in many of your videos that a diode laser is the perfect for using for cutting fabrics, except for whites.
Right. So we got to talk it up with other crafters there. We got to talk it up with people. It was good for you to see kind of how I run a booth, how I put a booth together, how I actually run a show. So now you go back to Chicago and you can implement what works for you in your area.
Yeah, based on what I had learned and what you guys did. And again, I think more and more people should do it. I think they don't do it because they're so afraid of somebody taking their designs.
Right.
So,
or they're just, I'm not personable. I don't talk to people.
I don't talk to personable. Well, that's part of the business, though.
Yeah.
If you're going to get into this, you either got to hire somebody to be your front man, or you got to be your own front man.
Right. And I think that's one of the places where you and I excel is we're good front people. Like
we're good. I mean, you were inside. I walked outside to smoke a cigarette. A lady walked out to smoke a cigarette. We got to talking. You showed up, and then her son showed up, and we were supposed to be back within 20 minutes.
Right.
And we ended up being there for almost, an hour and a half, I think.
Yeah, my wife was not happy.
Yeah. And we totally blamed it on the Mexicans, so it was all good.
Yeah. She definitely. By the way, what did you think of her little?
I love the video.
She goes,
I love the
he's
video.
gonna be pissed. I said, no, he won't.
I loved it. You see, I said that's a nice one. Yeah.
Yep. But anyways, it's one of those things. You got to take some information back with you of all the different aspects of what I'm capable of doing here.
Yeah.
And then finding a way to implement them where you're at.
Well, exactly. And now, since we've already teased it, I mean, we can always say that the new thing is that, are we ready to announce?
I got the design. Let me pull the design up and All right.
Pull up the design real quick. We'll let you know, kind of give you a sneak peek of what's going on behind the curtain of what we are thinking about this coming up year.
So there's three of us. And let's see here. Share screen, application. So right. There's three makers. And
I just got to pick out the one that's me. Maybe put some glasses on one of those dogs.
So what is Cerberus?
Well, traditionally in Greek mythology, Cerberus was the three-headed dog that guarded the gates of Hades. And now we are going to take that concept and say, okay, the three of us are going to launch a new enterprise where we are going to collaborate and take advantage of the different machines that we all have. Because you've got mini mills, you've got CNC lathes, mills.
Uh-oh. We lost him. Basically, what he was saying was we are going to team up, the three of us, to expand our offerings of what we're able to do with all of our CNC machines. We really want to help as many people as possible, and we want to create files and e-courses and educate people the best that we can, and just move forward. Let's see here. He's asking for a link because Carlos fat fingered the keyboard. Let's see here. All right. He'll be popping on here in a second. Not quite sure what happened to him. We're going to let him load up here. See if he can get back in here. There we go. You back on?
How's that?
There you go.
There we go. Technical difficulties, guys. So
it's doing a live show.
That's right. So, like I said, the idea is to take advantage of the different machines and capabilities that we have, that we all three of us have, and to be able to push, some of the products that we make, obviously, but also to build a presence where we're teaching, we're providing tutorials, we're providing content, and to better help out, everybody else in the community, because that's what this is about. It's about a community and building community.
That right there is what it's all about. I mean, at the end of the day, you want everybody has their niche, their area to go to.
Yeah.
And move on from there.
Yeah.
So, that's what's coming in the new year, on top of the 4x8 CNC machine is up and running, and
4x8 CNC. I actually had a guy in Chicago that wants to cut some templates on some full size arcades. I've got to nail down the details about that.
Yeah, I think I need to build a full size arcade for me and my daughter, because we've really gotten into, at night we play Street Fighter.
Oh yeah,
Street Fighter.
Oh, so then we definitely got to do a 4-player setup so that we can play like Marvel versus Capcom and the Marvel versus Avengers.
Yeah,
so that we can play 4-on-4. There
you go. And I actually need to talk to you anyways about that, because you got to teach me how to use that control board. I have no idea how to get it to go.
Okay. All right, we'll get it connected. We'll get it connected with the Raspberry Pi. It's the easiest.
Okay.
And from there we'll work on connecting it up to her Xbox.
Well, right now she just wants to put it on the Pi so that we can actually arcade play.
Exactly. That's the best time. That's the best time.
That's something because I keep telling her about what it was like going to the
To the
skate.
arcade, yeah. And
You
if
know?
I'm not mistaken, it has every version of Street Fighter on that image.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be playing everything from like the American versions to the Asian versions and all that.
Yep.
Hyperspeed, you got all the new ones too. So and the
Yeah.
cool thing is that you can connect that to her Xbox One and play the new Street Fighters that have come out.
Oh, that's cool.
So, I mean, I was playing Killer Instinct on mine, the original Killer Instinct.
So I don't know anything about those. You got to remember the last console that I had was actually a Sega Genesis.
The Sega Genesis. It's been that long, yeah.
Yeah.
But it also comes with all the Sega Genesis games on that image.
Yes.
So it's got that. But it also has all the old arcade classics and stuff like that. So, but again, when you hook up to your Xbox, you can play like X Fighter 6 or the 5, whatever it's out, whatever the new one's out, it's 5. And I was playing Mortal Kombat 10 on it, which was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was playing just a lot of the cool games that don't involve an analog stick. Like you can't play obviously Call of Duty on it or something like that because you're using analog sticks and all that stuff like that. I'm sure you can design something to do it, but right now the joysticks are really set up for console and the basics consoles and arcade. But me, I'm an arcade baby. I grew up in the arcades and the malls.
Right, and that's what I was trying to tell Victoria was like, hey, this is what we did.
Yeah, I mean, Victoria, she has to understand. I mean, yeah, she could take the regular joysticks and play any game on that system, not a problem. But the joysticks add a whole new experience to it.
Right.
Yeah. Especially when you can do all your fatality combos.
And that's something I gotta work on with her is trying to figure out how to move, and she beats my ass at Street Fighter every night because she's just pressing buttons.
She's button mashing.
But she finds the buttons that work to, like, one hit takes away a quarter of a life. and I'm sitting here like just beating and it doesn't do anything to it.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I'm not happy with that right now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
hey, you get it once you get it, and you'll be like, we're gonna be playing for bragging privileges of the universe.
Oh, dude, you want to talk about a shit talker?
Oh yeah, she's already.
She definitely got that from me. She got that from me because
you're gonna have to make a trophy. You're gonna have to cast a trophy to pass along between you guys to see who has bragging right.
Yeah, that's a definite. Got to do that. But yeah, man, I don't know what do you have. So that's kind of how we're finishing out 2020.
Yep.
We're finishing out on a high note. I've got the I got the CNC for Noobs deal going on.
Yeah.
I got the Coffee and Cuts and the e-course. We're building some e-course information. What all do you have going on for?
Well, we would like to do, like I said, we've been talking about this, do a similar format for laser engraving. Do a similar online, live broadcast to the laser groups.
Yep.
There are some specifics that tend to pertain to the laser groups that don't necessarily kind of dovetail with routering. It is a different discipline, but it's something that could definitely help out a lot of people and give them a lot of information. We've got a really good group that we're planning on working with, who are very open to letting us stream directly into them. We are working on trying to become some admins so that we're able to post whenever we want to.
Right.
And also, too, do what you do, too, and interview people who are being more who have become very successful in what they're doing. There's a couple of guys in the group that have just done phenomenal, and would love to be able to pick their brains about where they started, how they do it, and with that will probably give other people idea of how to go. It's not that hard to get a machine, get in there and play with it.
Right.
The hard part comes into being able to recognize modern trends and market yourself in a market that is let's just say it's saturated.
Yeah.
I think if you look on Facebook, there are groups that have 20, 30, 45,000 members.
I have to say, I'm thankful for the CNC for Newbies group. Dan Clemente put together that group.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for the Everything X-Carve group.
Yeah, that's a good group as well.
Brian put that one together. And I'm thankful for the Make with Bull. He put that one together. I'm trying to think of JTech Lasers have their group, and all of these people actually let me become an admin so that I could post my StreamYards.
Yeah.
And help people better and everything. So the end of my 2020 was one that people actually started helping me reach out and help people. And to me that was just awesome, and I'm very appreciative of that.
Oh, absolutely. At the end of the day, we're here building communities.
Right.
Now, for as everybody knows, there's a lot of groups on Facebook for basically any kind of discipline that you want. There's a Facebook group.
Yep.
The key is to find a group that you mesh with, good, and that you are able to ask questions and get feedback from that doesn't just say, oh, well, Google this or Google that.
Right.
I think a lot of guys forget about, hey, they started off someplace in a very similar situation, and they forget that new people are coming in every day. So you have the same question being asked, and they're like, oh, well, I don't want to get rid of this and get rid of that and filter that. No. It's about building your community, and you don't build your community by giving dickhead answers that say, oh, well, just Google this. This works for me.
Right.
And again, the other key to that is every machine is just a little bit different. Everybody's experience with it is different. And there's more than one way to skin a cat, in my opinion.
And there absolutely is. And that's a big thing, I think people tend to forget, and I'm guilty of it, but I'm also thankful that I have people to bring me back down to earth. Like if I put out an answer that seems kind of like I'm being a dick, it's not meant to be that way.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough that I have guys like you that are like, yo, that was kind of messed up, man. Like, go in and fix that.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people that won't.
No. A lot of, and again, I have to say that's like the 2-month expert. They think they've come and they've got a couple of different decent little designs they pulled out. And again, unless you are designing every single piece that you're doing by scratch by yourself, you're using somebody else's work.
Yeah.
And that kind of dovetails into what our next little segment would be for fair use.
Yeah. So you got questions on it? I
do. I definitely have a question. My question is and I'm going to pull it up on my phone, what the definition of fair use is. Just bear with me 1 second here. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but let's see. What does, if I can spell right, fair use mean? All right. So according to the internet, a dictionary, in the U.S. copyright law, the doctrine that brief excerpts of the copyright material may, under certain circumstances, be quoted verbatim for purposes such as criticism, news reporting, teaching, and research, without the need from the person from or payment to the copyright holder. So, what does that tell us? That if you're doing something as far as reporting on it, you can use their photos. You can use this. You can use that.
Right.
If it's for teaching purposes, you can also do that. So that's where it is now. Where does fair use come in to, like, the basic guy that comes in and says, I want to design some coasters.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, okay, I want to do some coasters. And I'm a Star Wars fan, obviously.
Yep.
And I want to make some coasters. What can and can I do legally?
Legally, anybody can tell you, do not touch my product.
Yeah.
George Lucas can come in and say, don't copy my product. Mm-hmm. And what happens is he then gets lawyers involved and they come after you for damages to their copyright.
Right. The most common thing would probably be a cease and desist letter. First.
Now,
just warning you.
Here's the thing. Most of these companies don't want to have to do that. Okay?
It costs money.
They are going to tell you, hey, that's our product, quit.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
Now, is that usually after a period of time that, let's say, perhaps you have a store and you've generated volumes of it?
When I was first starting, I had a actual farmer that was sponsored by Mack Trucks. Like, Mack Trucks gave them their farm trucks for delivering dairy.
Okay.
He wanted to show his appreciation to them and let the world know that he is a Mack Truck farm. Chris, can you make me a 4-foot by 8-foot sign that says Mack Trucks so I can put under my barn?
Okay.
Under his farm sign. Yeah, no problem. He's sponsored by them. I don't see any issue. Like, they gave him the trucks. He wants to show appreciation. He posts a thank you picture. Exactly what he told me it was and everything.
Yeah.
I get a letter from a law firm. Hey, our company, Volvo, would like you to immediately stop making products with their copyright and trademark. Oh, okay. It's like that. So I stopped making stuff for.
And I can kind of shed a light on that from a manufacturing standpoint. A lot of major corporations have marketing departments, and anything that goes out with their name on has to meet certain criteria and have to get signed off on.
Right.
So that right there is, one of the things that you have to kind of look at.
Right.
All right. Now, it's my understanding that you can get if you do your due diligence, you can get a letter that says that you're licensed. And what was that in itself? Because I understand that you in the past have been able to procure the rights to do certain copyright stuff.
Yes. So basically, you just have to get permission from the company to use their intellectual property. Some people are very protective of it.
Yeah.
I have been told that you will not get a Harley Davidson letter.
Yeah.
Like, don't think about it. Don't think about thinking about it. It ain't happening.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told that, one crafter went to a university to get a license, and they walked out with a number to a lady at IMG and ended up getting a crafter's license, which I've never heard of.
Nice.
I didn't know there was a crafter's license.
Have you since learned what that means?
No. I try not to do trademark stuff.
Sure.
I try, because I'm more into what does my customer want me to make for them with their name on it and stuff like that.
Sure.
Now, I have been told by a copyright lawyer, not under retainer or anything. This was just topical conversation.
Yeah.
That if you change a logo in 3 places and they can't do a direct overlay, that you have now changed the logo in such a way that it's not their logo, quote unquote.
Yeah.
If that's true, I don't know. I've also been told that if you're not making money on it, if you're not out there selling it, if you're doing it as gifts or personal product, that they're pretty much not.
Yeah, they're not gonna mess with you. Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I've heard story. Again, these are all stories. These are all anecdotal stories. No way to prove it until we can get the people either involved on one side or the other to come in and confirm this to us. Maybe that may be one of the things that we'll look into.
Yeah.
And see, hey, has anybody been has the opportunity to retain a license, or has anybody been? What are your experiences with making stuff and then somebody saying, hey, bad boy.
Right.
So that might be something to look in the future. But I have heard that I had a gentleman that made a sign that had a NFL logo on it, gave to somebody else. They posted it as a thank you. And it was explicitly stated that it was a gift, but they were still slapped with a cease and desist letter.
Right. I don't really know. It's one of those things.
All right. So that's the stuff that we want to go ahead and just get out of the way. What, in your opinion, do normal people do?
In my opinion, normal people do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And wait for the letter.
And wait for the letter, right?
That's what I see.
I see a lot of people, they Google images and they will just do a Google image and do a direct engrave or something like that on something, and then
Right.
Which okay. I want to get this out here too. Me personally, I don't care. I don't consider myself the copyright or IP police.
Hold on. So when you and I were talking about the impact engraver,
yeah,
okay, should we put a patent? Should we copyright it? Should we trademark it? No. Why not?
Yeah.
Because in 4 months, somebody's going to try and knock it off. And do you really feel like you're going to go through the 15 years of court trial to say, yeah, I won, and then they're going to pay you $10 a year to drag everything out, and then you're going to die and they're not going to give you your money anyways?
Yeah.
So like, I'm already like, look, I don't give a shit.
Exactly. I think my opinion is once it's out there on the internet, you can try to protect it. You can try to protect yourself as best you can. But once you're out on the internet, exactly, someone's going to come along and try. Now, the difference is if they do a direct rip off of you,
right? Now I'm going to knock on your door.
Yeah, exactly. But there's also certain protections, even without a patent, that if you can prove that you designed this, use this and that, and then they just knocked you off,
right?
You still have recourse.
It's just a matter of you've got to take the time out to pursue it,
to train it out. And with the what I have been seeing is people taking the initiative on their own in the groups. And a lot of the groups have very strong rules against directly ripping people off.
Right.
And if it's found that you've taken a product that somebody else has made and you are directly ripping it off, I've even seen people actually using the same pictures that the original people use.
Yep.
How ballsy does that have to be?
Without asking.
Without asking, yeah.
There's a big difference. You will actually see me post pictures of other people's stuff.
Yeah.
That I am remaking. Jerome made that Jeep flag.
Yeah.
And I used his picture from it because I didn't cut it.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, yeah, go ahead, use it. But I didn't cut it. So I used his picture. But I also talked to him and was like, yo, can I?
Yeah. Yeah. Try at least get the permission of the artist or give them credit for inspiring is I guess is the word. I don't know.
Right.
But I constantly tell people, I'm like, hey, if you do a design and you put this out in the Facebook group, expect for somebody to take the design and try to sell it as their own.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've read.
What do I do with my files in the groups?
Yeah. Oh, you give them for free.
I'll ask. That's all. That's
just
all.
Ask. A lot of times you'll give them for free.
I'll just post it in the file section because I know somebody's going to take it.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of that, and then once it's out there, if you can identify somebody that's directly ripped you off, then I say, they'll launch a PR campaign by saying, look, you ripped me off. This is the deal. This is the original product. And let's try to let everybody know that, hey, that you're, that this is your product.
Right.
Other than that, that's not much you can do about it. I
don't care if you want to make it. Look, I'm the very last person to say anything about it because I'll take 15 different images. I'll take an arm off of this image and I'll take a leaf off of this image and I'll take something off of this image and I'll put them all together and make a new file.
And that's what that was going to be my next question. What about taking very different files, combining them into a new, or different images and combining them into a new file that, yes, you're using aspects of this file, this image, but now you've made a completely new design out of this.
I know people, we call them the IP police.
Yeah.
Intellectual property police.
Oh, yeah.
And they are dead set against, if you didn't make it, you don't use it. You don't use a part of it.
Yeah.
Listen, shut up.
Exactly.
Okay. If you have never used a piece of anyone else's property, good on you. I want to see what you've been making.
Exactly. I want to look at your entire line of product that every design that you've ever made. And I can almost guarantee you that at one point or another, there's going to be some aspect of an image that you pulled off. Because let's face it, not a lot of people are skilled at graphic design that can do a full-blown image.
Right. Now, you can if you go to Croft CNC and watch the tutorials.
Ah, there you go.
Or you get the...
I saw where you went with that. I like that. Well, yeah, and again, that's part of the thing that we want to do is we want to take the guys that are doing that preliminary, but then build them up and show them how they can do different stuff like that.
Right. My thing is, I just want people to know, like, you have options.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Use my product. Use it. Just give me credit. Or better yet, take a picture and be like, yo, I took this picture from Chris, or he gave me this file and I did this with it.
Yeah.
That's all. Literally.
Because honestly, if it's a guy in Tennessee who's taken one of your designs and has made some, how much would that impact you?
It's not, and if they have a better movement with it, guess what? They should use the product. I want them to.
Yeah. And the smartest thing to do would be to reach out to you and say, "Hey, Chris, I've used this design of yours. It's done very, very well for me. What are the chances are of working together on some more designs and stuff like that?" Right. And instead of a one-time ripoff, actually develop a business relationship. Because,
look, you guys are able to do your own designs for the most part, right? Who's faster at it, you or me?
Oh, you're able to pump out a design, and in fact, there's no secret. There's been a lot of time where I come to Chris and say, Chris, I've got this design for this particular project, this and that. I'm not real proficient on this. Is there something that you could do that we can make it sellable?
Right. And that's the thing is, I do that for a lot of companies. You see, people don't realize Croft CNC does so many things in the background.
Yeah. It's not just about throwing some shit on the machine and this is what I got.
Right.
There's so many different aspects of this. You're absolutely right about that.
You know, I mean, I've got people that I do designs for, that I make parts for, that they then turn around and have them on HGTV. And they're like, yeah, so we got these metal cabinets from X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh, well, that's funny because those pictures were on my YouTube or my Facebook last month.
Yeah.
While I was welding them and powder coating them. You know, I cut those on the plasma machine and here are the pictures. You know, but I don't say that. I'm just like, you know, hey, my stuff's been on there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't list the company that I did it for. I don't anything like that. That's their business. If they want to give me credit, give me credit. If they don't, okay.
At the end of the day, they've already finished a contract with you.
Right. It's their prerogative.
Yeah.
And if they were able to market it better than I was, then guess what? I'm a shitty business person.
Well, then you learn and see what they're doing and see how you can apply those same concepts.
And to be honest, at this juncture, I'm just a shitty business person. Like I'm a great producer. I don't have I don't have what it takes to
market.
to do all the upfront marketing and everything like that. But
Yeah.
that's why we have people like Jerry on.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's exactly what I was gonna bring up next. Is you've got just great people like Jerry, and that can help us. Okay, look, yeah, you guys are doing this. Maybe you guys want to now try and focus on that.
Right.
And I definitely want to have a sit down with Jerry, as I'm going to be the person to be doing a lot of the marketing and trend watching with Sammy. That's stuff that I have to learn. That's
right.
That I have a definite weakness as well. Now I've got to try to learn that, and that's where I'm going to fit into this.
Right. And that's where 2021 is going to be our year, no matter what. Like we may not make the millions of dollars, we may not make any money, but we're going to learn so much in 2021.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're going to be learning so much in the next 6 months.
Yeah, I mean,
like right now we're at the post Christmas rush. We've got about a month and a half before Thanksgiving rolls up. It gives us some time to work out, get the new machine set up, and organize our workflow and start looking at, hey, what is this? What do we need to do this? What do we need to do for that?
Right. I mean, we've got the stuff going right now. So I'll let the cat out of the bag.
All right.
I have some 2060 extrusion sitting here that would look really good as a retrofit on an X-Carve to go to rack and pinion.
Nice.
Like straight away. 42 inches of travel, rack and pinion style.
Okay.
Something like that would be phenomenal.
Right.
And I think it's something that's needed,
especially for the X-Carve. Yeah, I think we can get away from belts. That's I think one of the weaknesses on the X-Carve is the belts.
Yeah.
Stretching and unstretching with the heats and the temperature fluctuations and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely the way to go.
Yep. So I'm going that way with it right now.
Nice.
I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 sections of it in-house right now.
What size are you gonna be upgrading the size overall, or?
It's gonna be the super carve size.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
And for those that are not familiar with the supercar size, what sizes are we looking at?
48 by 48 cut area.
Holy Jesus. That's gonna be nice.
Yeah, it's basically my version of a 48 X-Carve with belts.
Nice.
So yeah, I've got that going on. I got really pissed off because I keep slipping teeth because of the length of the belts and the tensioning on them.
Yeah.
I keep slipping teeth on long carves.
So that definitely got to get over to a rack and pinion type system.
Right.
Well, you're not going to be losing that. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but that's one of those things that we're talking about is upgrades. We're gonna, there have been a couple people that have done rack and pinions, but haven't done it the way that I want it done.
Yeah.
They haven't done a gear reduction setup or anything like that. So to me, it just makes sense, make it work.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to do 4x8 cuts in wood and acrylic.
That's going to be nice.
What
I would do with another 18 inches. Oh my God. That's what she said. Well,
Probably not much.
no, dude, I'd definitely bang the hell out of the sides. You know how that goes. But again, you're taking a machine that was, 29 by 29, 30 by 30, whatever you want to call the 1,000 by 1,000. And another 18 inches.
Right.
That's gives you so much more. Now, I'll be honest, I have not used the full, my full size of my bed. I haven't had to.
See, that's the thing though, is I've done 37-inch flags.
Yeah.
Solid flags. A lot of guys make separate unions and glue them and everything. I don't. I actually make my flags all slat.
From those slabs. Were those from the slabs that we saw? You cut them down?
No, those are mantelpieces.
Those are mantelpieces.
Yeah,
those we got to figure out again. That's the other thing that we got to figure out too is where do we source different materials for different stuff like that? Because again, most of us we shop our big box stores.
Right.
Now, what I do when I want to do a larger size glue up, and I don't want to pay, $50 for a pre-glue up, and it's not necessarily in the material that I want to use.
Right.
I have my planer on my chop saw that I'm able to to chop it down, plane them down, do my glue ups, and go from there.
Right.
So, but trying to find material that looks good, solid wood. I like solid wood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind working with MDF, but it's just sometimes you want that solid wood look. And one of the things that I like to build with are 2x4 studs.
Right.
They tend to be somewhat straight if you can pick your if you go through and you pick your stuff out, and it's solid wood. I've made benches for my cousin's frozen yogurt shop. I've done tabletops, but I like it because it works. Right. And it's cheap. Hell, $2, and sometimes you can catch them $2 a stud for an 8-foot stud.
Right. You ain't doing that now. Price doubled.
Yeah. So, but I'm still able to get nice quality. And if I want to do a flag, like I said, I can do a flag. I can run that through my planer, cut them down to the size, run through my planer, rip down the slats, and I'm ready to go. Right. Now, some people may not have that type of setup that I have, but there's other options, right?
Right. You could do all kinds of stuff. I mean, for me, I've done glue ups, I've done solid pieces, and I use the CNC to actually plane large slabs and stuff.
There you go. Yeah.
Because I only have a 12-inch planer and a 6-inch joiner. That doesn't give you much. So
no, it doesn't.
I'll plane and joint, or I'll joint and plane and do a smaller glue up. And then from there, I'll biscuit them because I know each section. I'll biscuit them together and glue them together.
So you have a biscuit joiner?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I got to get a hold of me is a biscuit joiner.
And I also have a dowel joiner.
Oh yeah.
So
I looked into some of those too. Yeah.
So I do that, put them together, and pretty much at that point, like the bottom should be pretty damn flat.
Yeah.
And then I go through with a dial indicator on the CNC router, and I'll dial indicate, find my high, my low, and I'll trim off that
with the belt sander.
No, with the CNC router.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I'll get the bottom flat, flip it over, and then use the top side where it's really uneven.
Just to finish it off like that. Yeah. That's
and then
definitely.
I'll have a nice flat slab.
What kind of bit would do you use for that? Do you use the one that the little disc that?
I use the surfacing bit, the same one you use for your wasteboards, like the 1 inch, the 1.5 inch.
Oh, so that's the double fluted 1 inch.
Mine's 4 flute.
4 flute, okay.
4 flute, 1.5 inch. Now I will say that with the new router, the CNC for Newbies machine,
yeah,
I'm putting a 2.25 horsepower Bosch router on there.
Yeah,
it accepts 1/2 inch
nice
tooling, so I'm going that way with it. And
all
I'll
right.
probably,
And then you'll just be able to swap out your collets whenever you need to use a smaller
no,
stuff.
I think what I'm going to do is I posted that manual automatic tool changer.
Oh, okay.
And I think I'm going to set that up on it.
Oh, that sounds kind of cool, man. I got to see that in action.
I'm going to make everything 1/2 inch collet.
Yeah.
And just go from there.
Right. So standardization is also a big part of being able to get through this stuff.
Right.
Okay.
I'm gonna standardize all of my tooling.
Yeah.
To like 1/2 inch, basically 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch.
1/8 inch. Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to stick with 1/2 inch as much as possible.
Yeah.
And then use a lot of tapering and stuff like that. And I'm going to use brass and then use the CNC mill to actually, what I'll do is I'll solder like drill bits, end mills and stuff like that. I'll solder those into a brass coupler.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll CNC turn it to a 1/2 inch.
Just to pop it in and out.
Yep. And then I'll put a stop collar on them.
So do you think for those guys that don't have let's say that they got a table saw,
yep,
a chop saw, and their router,
yep,
would the investment of a planer joiner be okay? Be a good one? I mean, I ended up picking up.
It depends on what they're doing. I mean,
I picked up a 10 inch. I think I might have got the 12 inch. The 12 inch planer and joiner combo. It sits on the same table. Yep. So basically, you got your joiner on top and your planer on the bottom.
Yep.
For what I do, I think it works good for me. And I think I picked it up for like about $180 on eBay.
Right. I've got a separate planer, separate joiner, and I only use them because I get rough cut.
Yeah.
For a lot of stuff.
But it's also good too. Like if for the guys that use 2x4s, sometimes you'll get little knots and little waves inside the thing. Also too, you have that stamp that comes from the mill. Now you could do what I do in the past and spent 4 hours, sanding that stuff down as smooth as possible,
right,
and getting rid of that stamping, right. But with the planer, you can just run that right through, skim off that with a couple of millimeters, and then all you got to do is just run a 150 and a 220 on it just to smooth it out a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we make stuff harder than it has to be a lot of times.
Right.
Listen, you can do exactly what we do by hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can
I built my first arcades with a skill saw, a what the fuck do you call it? Oh god, I had a brain fart. You drill a hole, you put it in, and then you
a circle.
Like for cutting out sink jigsaw. That's what I'm looking for. The jigsaw. And I did that with a jigsaw and a router with a trim bit.
Yeah.
And with a little roller, I got one side of the cabinet that I was happy with, and I used my trim router and my router, clamp them together, and then now I've made basically made a template of the other side.
Right. And that's exactly what you do.
Yeah. And I think the total investment was, like I said, was for a skill saw, some saw horses, the chop saw when I'm doing, for chopping 2x4s and stuff.
Yep.
I did all that before I got my table saw.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's one of those things. So many guys, the hardest part is just figuring out how to do it. And that's what I like about the CNC stuff is just figuring out how to do it.
Oh yeah.
Right now I can't get 5x10 MDF, so I'm figuring out how to make a different mount for everything.
Yeah.
Using 49 by 90 97.
Yeah. Well, whatever the standard is now.
Yeah. So, it's just a matter of figuring out how you've got to do it and move forward.
Exactly.
And then after you get a little bit of better knowledge or sourcing or anything like that, just move forward. Keep moving forward. Keep moving.
Exactly. I think if anything 2020 has taught us was to just keep moving. Try not to paint yourself into a corner. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I know I'm filling up on all the euphemisms that and everybody always says, but leave yourself to be flexible. Some place to be flexible. If you're so rigid in the way that you do your work, when one cog out of that machine decides it wants to take a shit, it shuts you down. It'll shut you down. I can't tell you how many times I've seen posts where they've taken a project and 3 hours into it, something's broken down.
Yep.
And now they're shitting bricks.
Yep. And they don't know how to fix it. They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because you're dependent on the machine. And it's like, don't depend on the machine. The machine is going to break.
Yeah, the machine is the tool.
Yeah.
What you depend on is your vision, your design, and how it goes from there.
Yeah. I agree. Too many people rely on the machine to be the craftsman instead of being the craftsman and utilizing the tool.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, the nice part about the CNC for Newbies machine for me, it's just a beefier, bigger, faster version of the X-Carve.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And
I mean, obviously they're two separate companies and they do their own thing their own way, but
they do the same thing.
At the end of the day,
they do the same thing.
Router is a CNC router.
Right? And the biggest difference is you can load a full sheet of material into it without having to do if you're not constrained by space, and now you're not constrained by you're saving time by having to do material swap outs.
Right.
You could do that whole thing and say, okay, cut out every single bit of usable material that you can get.
Yep, and that's really all there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people forget that. It's really upsetting because you don't have to have all these great newfangled things.
No. You work with what you got and then build up to it. I think that was one of the first things that you told us about how when you're working with this stuff and how to go about it and going about upgrading.
Right.
That was one of the first things. I think it's one of the first things that you told us.
It's been one of my
your mantra.
Yeah.
What a mantra.
just get it done. Move forward. You know, that at the end of the day, just move forward. Get moving, get it done, and do what you've got to do.
Yeah.
And moving forward from there is what you've got to do. You know, and at the end of the day, we're going to see a lot more people doing what we're doing in 2021. So you better prepare yourself to know stuff that they don't.
Yeah.
So that you can be usable and
still be relevant. When I say you got to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And again, the big case in point is this. And I'm not sure what the numbers are for the X-Carves and for CNC noobs, and how many have they been able to determine and give us a statistic on how many new users came into the hobby over the last 8 months?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. They probably can look at their sales records and do it, but
so I'm curious. The one thing, because there's the thing what I noticed over the course of from December 19 through December 2020, that I think a lot of the groups were still well below 20,000 members.
Right.
And over the course of 12 months, they've grown to, some of them have grown to over 30,000.
Yeah.
Now, some of those groups have had some kind of infighting, and they've split off. And a couple of the very successful splinter groups are also maintaining 20K worth of members.
Right.
So you're talking, if I could just go by those numbers, then I would say 15,000 new people came into the hobby within a 6-month period.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean,
yeah.
Well, think about it. You've got the holiday rush.
Yeah.
You've got so many people worried about their jobs. You have so many people at home and having to make extra money.
Yeah. The caveat, I think, has always been, people think that there is a huge initial investment to go in.
Right.
All right. Now, if we're talking about the higher end luxury style, lasers, like we're talking, and again, I'm talking Glowforge over here. Right. Glowforge, Muse, Dremel that they put out there, which basically a Dremel is a Muse, just with the Dremel branding on it. It's the exact same machine. You've got new companies like Laserbox out of China that are trying to break in. You've got Timo. So you've got a lot of different and then you also have the diodes, and then you have the Chinese entry machines. Right. And now a lot of people think, oh, I can't get into this because it's so much money. Okay, well, yeah, if you go out and you buy the pro version of any of these machines, you're looking at about $5,000.
Right.
All right. Now, if you're somebody who was forlorn, laid off, or whatever, you might have a little bit of a disposable income to be able to buy that. But there is a company out there called Affirm, and a couple of other different companies that will actually offer you decent financing.
Yeah.
So if you've got decent credit, you can go ahead and you can jump into this market. Now, the biggest problem about that is you get a huge influx of new users
that don't know what the hell they're doing in their
don't know what the hell they're using. And now, in my opinion, the Glowforge has kind of become the Cricut of the desktop laser systems.
Yep. Everybody that's anybody that has touched a Cricut is a professional when it comes to sign making and everything like that, because you cut a couple vinyl signs to stick on a window.
Yeah.
And they lasted 3 months because you use shitty Cricut vinyl.
Yeah.
So,
but that's been the biggest thing too that I've seen. Well, how do I do this and how do I do that? Now that there are other people who are much more go-getters who have bought a machine and within 6 months they're doing fabulous.
Right. I have completely been missing the comments. Copperhead's been blasting us out there.
All right, let's put it up here. Let's see here. Now go back to the one that says shit. The one that it says on his groups that he was talking about the groups.
Oh, he hasn't found any groups that he meshes with.
Now that's well, you know, when that happens, Copperhead Mike, sometimes you gotta start your own group. I started 2 groups. One of them was called, and it's shameless plug here. It's called Anything But a G, Ain't Nothing But a G Code.
Yep.
And that group was specifically for setting up for anything that had to do with G code operations, 3D printers, CNC routers, lasers and stuff like that, and to bring people in and create your own community. Obviously, yeah, if you don't like the way that a group is run, at the end of the day, if you're not an admin of that group, it's their group. You don't like the rules, it's their group. Go out and start your own group.
Yep.
There was a little bit of a controversy this year in one of the Glowforge groups called the GUG, the Glowforge Users Group. And it's run by a couple of people, and for the most part, they've done the best job that they can do. I personally don't agree with some of the way that the rules have been applied across the group, but again, I'm not an admin. It is what it is. I'm there totally on a voluntary basis. There was a schism, and a couple of guys broke off and started the Glowforge World Group. And those guys came out, and what they did was the 3 or 4 main guys, and Sammy is one of them, and they developed an environment in a group where the people that had problems with the old group were able to come in, adjust very well, and not bring over a lot of the drama that was there in the other one. Now, of course, in every group you're going to have some kind of drama, but they've done a really good job of kind of just policing that and going on that. So when there was something where somebody, or I had actually gotten pissed off at somebody at something over in the GUG group, as according to like their terms of service and their group, which I totally didn't agree with.
Right.
I thought it was total garbage. It turned out to be like there were some other like-minded people who were just talking about it. And then somebody come in and said, "Hey, what does GUG stands for?" And somebody goes, "Oh, it stands for the Glowforge Underground Gangsters." And I thought that was the funniest thing. And we were all laughing about it. I'm like, well, you know what? So there's no group. I'm going to start a group called the Glowforge Underground Gangsters. Because I think the original problem was somebody bought a file from somebody who wasn't making money with it. They started making money about it. Then they started a big brouhaha about how that person stole their design, and that person got like blackballed for like 2 weeks.
Right.
Which was total bullshit. So I started out the fucking Glowforge Underground Gangsters, and I put on there, we're going to be the 1%ers of the Glowforge makers. The only rules is don't get don't be disrespectful, or we're going to smack you in the mouth.
Right.
And it started off slow. I haven't done much with it, but I think now it's like up to like 500 members.
Are you guys posting pretty consistently on it, or?
I haven't been posting consistently at all because I've been obviously other stuff going on here, but I do want to get back in there and build that up a little bit better and just get it posting. But I got guys coming in every day and posting something new,
Right.
It works out pretty good. So Copperhead, if you're not happy with a lot of the groups that you're in, start your own group.
Look, you're friends with us.
Yeah.
Ask us what groups we're in.
Find a group, start your own group, send us the invites. We'll jump in. Fuck.
if you get me the right environment, a prime example of that is the Everything X-Carve group.
Yeah.
I have no idea why. Give me a second, guys.
Uh-oh. He's gonna have to get up and get him something to drink real quick, walk around. But no, what I was saying is, yeah, start your own group, build a new community, and you start with the friends that you have on your friends list, and everybody else is in. If you can find a group that allows you to cross-post links, then that's one thing that you can do is you can cross-post links into their groups. A lot of them are really cool. Some of them are really dicks, but what are you going to do, man? So, but yeah, let's see what it says here. What about Copper Mike here? Does 4 years of building it count as just being operational? It could be. We tend to call that a work in progress, Copperhead.
So one of the things back on that group topic was the Everything X-Carve group for me. I just went live one day, like I do in all the other groups, and it just so happened people hopped on and were like, "Hey, that's great," ... and started conversation. So the next day I went live. And then I was throwing stuff on the machine and going live there.
That's true. That's a really good point that you make, because when you start your Copperhead Mike's has a comment that says, "I see people and ask questions in the groups and they're blasted for no reason." No, that happens all the time.
Yeah, that's human nature. People, there are dicks out there.
Yeah, and the people who are doing that are usually the 3-month user who have got in. They've got a couple of good projects under their belts, and they think that the way that they do it is the only way to do it.
All right, here's one. I'm going to try to stay humble, but I'm going to brag a little bit.
Go ahead and brag. Get some water.
Carlos can vouch that I have forgotten more about CNC than most people will learn. And in doing so, I go into the groups and I'm very nonchalant. Like if somebody's done something better, faster, whatever, I'm like, cool, maybe I need to work on my approach.
Yeah.
That's just my way of being like, that's good on you. Congratulations. When in the back of my mind, I'm saying, yeah, well, you didn't specify X, Y, and Z, so I'm giving you what you asked.
Yeah.
If you ask what's my longest carve, you didn't ask what was your longest best carve.
Yeah.
You said, what's your longest carve?
Because I've had carves that have gone long and turned out shit.
I've done 47-hour carves. With 47 hours, it should never take that long. Yeah, and it was my second 3D file that I carved.
Yeah.
And it was also 3.5 inches deep. And it was 28 by 28 inches square.
Right.
You didn't ask all that.
These guys are thinking that you're doing a 3D carve on a 1 by 10 by 12 on a piece of pine that you picked up from Home Depot.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not that guy. And I tell people, and people come back and they're like, it should never take that long. And I'm like, cool. You do you. And maybe I need to work on my speeds and feeds.
Maybe.
Maybe
you're okay because it turned out the way you wanted it.
Exactly. I didn't miss any steps. I ended up selling it for $1,500. And I didn't really do anything except for get a file, expand it, take 5 minutes to write the code, and do two tool changes.
And the machine does the work, and then you're able to, it frees you up doing something else.
It is what it is. If you do it better and faster and stronger, congratulations, you're the man. and I'm going to make sure I give you your props. You're the man. That's what you want. Is you want your glory and fame. Congratulations.
Well, and let's be honest. If that's actually what I consider a dick comment, because if it was me asking that question, I would say, wow, 47 hours seems a bit long. And get some more information from you.
Right.
And say, hey, well, did you consider this, or did you consider that, or did you consider that?
Right.
Because at that, before, if you don't do that, then what it is that you're falling into the classic, look what I did, and I can do this. Well, you actually didn't show me you did anything. You just said you did. And unfortunately, a lot of the Facebook groups have devolved into a dick patting and ball cupping group that says, I'm looking for attention. Look what I did.
Right. I'll tell you right now, I go live, and that's one of the biggest issues that I have with going live is I'm not going live to show you, look at what I did. I'm better than you or anything. When I go live and I show you what I'm doing, I explain what I'm doing. I explain why I'm doing it, and
you're making it a teachable moment, and you're sharing information about what it is that you're doing to help the next person. Now, whatever those people do with it, that's on them. Yeah, exactly.
That's the big thing, to help them make money.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that really matters to me is, am I making a positive impact on them?
Yeah. So going back to the, we were talking about initial investments and stuff like that, and we were talking about the high-end $6,000 buy-in for a pro version. They have, now the machines, they do have machines out there that are around $3,000 for a more entry level.
Right.
Which, as we were explaining earlier, we started off with the basic Glowforge, and we bought the pro. It was okay machine.
Right.
Then, from a business standpoint, instead of just saying, "Hell, we got this pro and we can do this," we just said, "You know what? We could sell this pro, get 2 more basics, and triple our production area, and we haven't lost anything."
And not a lot of people think like that. Where, did I need a 4x8 machine? No. But what am I going to do with it? I'm going to show you how to make cabinets and workbenches and stuff that's going to help me organize the shop to make better projects for me to showcase to you guys on how you can use it to make money.
Exactly. We were talking about this year doing a full-size cabinet build on your new 4x8.
Right.
Using that spare curve monitor.
Yep.
Which, when this thing is done, it's going to be crazy phenomenal. But what's the actual, and when you actually look at it, what's the actual marketing potential for that? Well, in my opinion, it's kind of a niche market.
Right.
It takes a lot of time. And again, I've been building arcades for 4 years now, and I've built small, control panels. I've done bar tops, and I've done 4-player pedestals. And yeah, if you can get a custom commission, that's great. But it's hard to make money doing that. But on the other hand, doing a project like that lets people see what the potential is. And maybe somebody else has the idea of how to take it to a commercial, or go into a niche market where they're doing, because there's a huge DIY niche market in the DIY arcade hobby. So there's different things that you can see, different things that you can do, and you can showcase what this machine can actually do.
Right, and that's the big thing, is just showing you guys what it can do. Not necessarily bragging it up.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got something you don't have. Well, guess what? Titan Gilroy's got me beat by hundreds of millions of dollars,
Yeah.
you know, and he's forgotten more than I'll ever learn about CNC.
Mhm.
You know, I can't hold a candle to him, his boys, his team, or anything like that. They do phenomenal stuff. So I'm going to sit my happy ass in the corner, and whenever he speaks, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to listen.
And listen and watch. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I get a little fired up about that part of it.
It is. I mean, it is. Now going down to the next level of pricing is the Chinese lasers that they have.
Yeah.
You can start off. I've looked at around. You can get a 50-watt CO2 laser. I think it's got a 12 by 24 bed. It's got a 10-inch Z axis, and you can get into that between $1,200 and $1,800.
Yeah.
And that actually will fit inside your house.
Yeah.
And it vents out the exact same way as these luxury units look like. The only difference is that you get a little bit more industrial look to the machine that you're going to be using. But you do so much more. Copperheads and Mike said they got an 80-watt one. Yeah, those 60 and 80-watt ones are nice.
Yeah.
You
don't need to have 100-watt.
No, oh no. You're probably never going to use 100-watt unless you're cutting some really, really thick material. And to be honest, how many of us now are cutting that kind of material when we have the option if we can throw that onto a CNC?
Right.
My thing would be if I have to do something that requires 100 watts because I need to cut through the material, then I'm going to CNC that down to a more workable piece, and then move it over to the laser afterwards.
Yep.
So I mean that's just the way that I would do it. And again, it's not written in stone. It's not saying it's the best. It's just saying that how I would do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. How you would do it differs from how I would do it because you're not me.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Now, and again, I would say that if you are seriously looking at a laser for your for your CNC business, I would recommend starting with one of the 50 to 80-watt machines. You're going to want to make sure that you have the new Ruida control board.
Yep.
Because in my opinion, the software that comes with all these Chinese things, they don't cut it. Lightburn has been a real with the Ruida, you can use Lightburn, and Lightburn is a really stable software that we've been using. And with about $2,000 in, you can have yourself a nice machine, and you're up and running.
Which is, we're actually working on getting me squared away.
Yeah.
With a 36 by 24, 60 watt or better. I'll probably end up going 60 watt.
Yeah. And here's the thing: you can always upgrade those tubes.
Right.
Those tubes are modular. One of the biggest downfalls for the luxury machines is that you have, especially with Glowforge, you have to send it back to them to do certain repairs.
Right.
On top of it being tied to the internet, you have to you have to send these in for these major repairs. You can't, if you have a bad tube, there's nothing you can do about it. You got to send it back. So if you've just bought yourself a $6,000 Pro, and your tube goes out and they can't fix it, what they're going to do is they're going to have you save your box because they're going to have you ship it back. What they're going to do is going to send you a refurbished unit.
Yep.
I'm not going to send you a brand new unit off the shelf. They're going to take that in. They're going to repair it, throw it into their refurbished stock, and you'll be getting a refurbished machine.
Yep.
To me, I buy refurbished machines because I know that they're consumables. But if I've just spent $6,000 on a machine, I'm not real crazy about getting a used machine back.
Exactly.
So there's that. Now you got companies like LaserBox who make their products a little bit more modular. Which, as you know, I received a LaserBox Pro that came in the mail from China, shipped FedEx. Was supposedly going to go FedEx freight, and when I got it, the bottom of the pallet was tore off, and it was delivered on a FedEx bread truck, laying upright on its side.
Right.
So I have no idea what kind of treatment this poor thing had, got to me in. I opened it up, got it working, got it connected, got it moving. Laser tube doesn't fire. Good thing is that I communicated with these guys, and they were able to send me power supply and a new laser tube to get up and running. Right. So now I've got it burning. Now I've got to do the mirror alignment on it. Now, some people would say, well, shit, I want something that's plug and play, this and that. Plug and play has its pros, but the biggest con is you don't understand how your machine works.
Right.
And now you're at the mercy of their customer care. Now, when you're dealing with companies like Glowforges, I can tell you right now from experience that there is nobody, you can't pick up the phone. Even though they're an American company, you cannot pick up the phone and talk to somebody.
No. You
have to go to their forum, put a ticket in, and maybe a week later they come back to you. Maybe a couple of days. I don't know. And if there's nothing that they can fix it, then you got to turn around and ship it back in. And it's just, to me, it's a big pain. But on some of these lower end machines, because the parts are modular, the mirrors are modular, the tubes are modular, the nozzles, air assist, all the air assist, the pumps, they can all be upgraded.
Right.
Because when you first get one of these machines, you're going to get because it is water cooled. What they're going to send you is a tank or a pump, a water pump, until you get you a big tote. Make sure it's filled with distilled water, and make sure that you keep it cool. What does that mean? Well, it means filling the gallons of distilled water in the freezer and putting those inside your thing. That's the way to do it.
Right.
Some people will run a antifreeze coolant solution through it. People are kind of iffy on it. I've seen them work both ways.
I've heard pluses and minuses on those.
I can tell you right now, the laser box that I have is running a distilled water and coolant solution through the pump. So it's got to work.
Yeah.
And the laser tubes can be changed out. So there's a lot of upgrades that you can get, but it's modular and the parts are available. And you're able to upgrade your machines, for a fairly decent price, and you're still well under a pro system, and you get a lot more build area. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, right now I'm trying to find one that can do my wife's stuff.
Yeah.
For her gnomes that I can finance.
Yeah.
That's my big thing right now is I need like a 60 watt and able to finance. So
let's talk after this stream. I'll tell you what some of the financing options I found.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah. Well, we've got 2 viewers.
They've stayed with us?
They stayed with us for 3 hours.
Holy shit.
So I think I'm going to cut it off here and go from there. All right, man?
All right. No problemo. I thought it was a great topic. Guys, if you guys have anything you want to questions, throw them down in the comments, and we'll address them later.
Amen to that.
All right, brother.
Guys, you have a good day, and
Happy New Year to you.
Later.
Yeah,
Happy New Year. In 2021.
Gotta get it, man. 21.
2-1.
I gotta find my camera. 2-1. Yeah, it's gotta be better than this shit. So,
all right, man.
Big plans going on. We'll keep you guys updated as we go.
All right, later on.
What Copperhead said, Mike, he says, yeah, we're suckers too.